got a new dryer, so you could piss in that.
Oh, fuck, man. Fuck that.
Yeah, it's roped off.
I had to fucking cancel food shopping Friday for like a month to pay for that shit.
Episode 30, Red River Podcast. Totally special. We have two guests, and it makes sense because they're two guests from a band called Two Man Advantage that we all know and love. So welcome, Marc.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you, Sam. Thank you guys
Jeff?
for having us.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah, definitely. Wanted to get you in. I know that just recently you posted, like this long message letting everyone know, getting up to speed that how you're going to be moving on, and all your almost like your sign out kind of, but you're going to Arizona, right, Marc?
Yeah. I'm leaving New York sometime over the summer, and it's been 26 years here, and it's been phenomenal. It's been great. I've met some of the greatest people I've ever known. But it's time to move on. I'm a West Coast kid. That's where I grew up. And my girlfriend lives in L.A. And losing my job kind of pushed things along. I'm losing my job in the middle of June. Can sell the house. My kids are grown on their own.
Do you almost feel like it's almost like poetic in a way?
Yeah. I mean, I think everything just fell into place. Just like one thing at a time, from her and I reconnecting. And then, I mean, I've known this girl 36 years. So it's not like this is a new girlfriend. This is somebody I've always loved and I've always admired and I've always wanted to be with.
And because I remember you told me the story over dinner.
Yep.
How you met when you were just a kid.
I was 17, and she and I always stayed in touch, and her name's Amber Quinn, and I love her dearly. And
she's listening right now.
No, not yet.
No,
you tell me when, and she will.
Yeah, no, I mean, regardless of when, she'll be listening.
Yeah.
It's a valid statement.
So, a few coast-to-coast visits. I've been out to California 7 or 8 times in the last year, and she's come to New York and spent quite a lot of time here. And we're just trying to find our place together. And with me losing my job, that cancels New York. My next job, I know I'm not going to make the money I make now, and I know that going in. So to me, it's kind of like, why stay here? Mm-hmm. And then with her with her being in LA, I personally cannot live in Los Angeles. Never again.
Have you? So you have?
Yeah, that's where I grew up.
Oh, that's where you grew up.
Yeah. So
how old were you when you left?
When I moved here, I was 27.
Okay.
So I'm a LA boy, and I can't live there. There's the traffic. You think we have traffic here? You haven't seen anything. You haven't seen squat. They have freeways out there with 8 lanes on each side, not moving. 16 lanes.
Is
everyone
just trying to get to their acting appointment, their audition?
Everybody
There's
has
too
a
many
car.
people.
There's no public transit.
Right, they don't use
everyone...
public transportation like we do. Everybody's got somewhere to go, and the cost of living out there is through the roof. It's more expensive than here. So she and I both like Phoenix. She loves the desert, and I have family and I have friends in Phoenix, and it's an affordable city. I'll put it to you that way. And it's only 4 hours from LA. Now, granted, I'm leaving. My children are here. But my children are grown, so I'm a little different situation than a lot of guys.
Yeah, same thing. Like my girlfriend, Karen's parents, not parents, but her mom and like her whole family, like all the mom side moved to Arizona. It's fucking mind-boggling.
You're right.
Like mind-boggling.
Yeah. But Arizona's the new Florida. Yo. Yeah. New York's coming, and we're taking that shit. Seriously.
Yeah, I think
so many people.
Yeah, it started back with the Joe Bonanno, I think, from the Bonanno Crime.
I have one of my all-time best friends I've ever had in my life. I've known this guy since '86. He lives in Phoenix, and he and I, he's real instrumental in getting me there and helping me out and pointing me in the right direction as far as employment and where to live, and starting another band with him.
Oh, really?
So am I done playing? No. I'm not done playing. But
yeah.
My home base will not be Long Island, New York.
He's done playing with a jersey and wearing makeup, though.
Yeah, no, no more makeup, no more jersey.
Yeah, it's
I might wear a jersey, just not a 2-man jersey.
You may wear makeup. I mean, you like wearing makeup.
Maybe like a football themed punk band.
Yeah.
Pick it different.
Yeah, what about a different sport?
Yeah,
I don't know.
No. So, just real quick, just so everyone knows, because what brought you? You said you've been here for 26 years, so you're like a West Coast kid.
Mm-hmm.
So did you grow up in like punk rock roots in L.A. and then?
Oh, dude, I was going to shows since I was 13 years old and seen bands that you'll never see.
Like Taiketo?
No, like Black Flag with Keith Morris.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Well, that bit,
Okay,
yeah.
so how far back you want me to go?
Do you remember the first?
Y&T. First time you saw him.
Have you ever met Dave Manichetti? No. What
Hey,
was?
man, he was San Francisco.
Oh, was
Oh,
it?
shit.
Oh,
shit
My
straight,
bad.
man.
That's-
Get
I don't want the hate mail. Do you remember like what got you into like just punk rock?
Yeah, I do. I was actually a humongous Kiss head, like from like 5th grade
I like this guy. This guy's all right.
till like 8th grade. No, 7th grade. And
then
I
you
remember
snapped out of it and
No,
you're
no,
like,
this
you knew better.
girl was sitting next to me in class. She knew I was all into Kiss. She brought me a Ramones record. She brought me Road to Ruin. And she said, my sister and all her friends are all into this punk rock stuff. Why don't you check this out? And I went home and I played that record until the grooves were gone. I mean, it's just sank my teeth into punk rock and no more Kiss. Even though I still love Kiss to this day, it just totally opened my eyes and ears.
What was it about that record that just like spoke to you?
It's just one of those records that just spoke to me. Just so raw and it just seemed genuine compared to Kiss, which is all staged and it's a whole get up and these guys were friggin' 4 slouches with leather jackets and
Both bands from Queens.
yeah.
Definitely. So
I think they told a lot of people too, like you can do this too.
Yeah,
You don't
that's
need
right,
To have
that's
this
right.
Big overproduction rock.
Yeah.
Anybody can do this.
isn't it like it's cliche to say because everyone says it, but like punk rock does give you that feeling where it's like you do listen to it because I tell everyone like Kirk Hammett from Metallica made me want to play the guitar, but I didn't know how to play like that. And
Yeah,
then
that
one
guy's kinda
day,
good.
That kid's gonna be all right.
yeah, it's gonna be okay. And then I heard Greg Ginn, and I was like, oh, I think I could almost do something like that. Like it just made me.
It was free. There
Yeah.
was no rules or certain structure.
It just like Greg Ginn, like I know you, like Jeff,
Yeah,
like
punk rock is an amazing music to. If you want to be a musician, punk rock is really a great music to get into because it's simple, so it's approachable and accessible for a beginning musician. But at the same time, especially if you're talking about a band like the Ramones, even though what the Ramones play is musically simple, those are also great songs. So it also teaches you the fundamentals of songwriting and song structure, and you may not even consciously think about those kinds of things when you're young, but to put on a Rush record and think you're going to do that out of the gate, you're not going to do that out of the gate.
Not
but
happening.
with the Ramones, you can,
Right.
and go from there. So
and
it's
and
perfect.
for someone like me, you figure I was 13 when Nevermind came out, so it was the same thing. Like Nevermind could have been like my Rock to Russia,
Sure.
And a lot of people, because at 13 I'm like, oh, I could play Smells Like Teen Spirit, and
Yeah,
then that's what
yeah,
I
yeah.
did. So I'll always cite that record for that reason, even if I don't listen to it as much. So
Yeah, me and one of my buddies, we were listening to that Ramones record, and his older brother came in, and I gotta say, his older brother was like 3 or 4 years older than us, and he's like, "Man, you guys like the Ramones?" And we kind of looked at him like, "Man, how the hell do you know?" And he said, "Here, listen to this," and he handed me Nervous Breakdown 7-inch.
oh, jeez, that's a good one.
That's
There you
tattoo
go.
number 1.
Nice.
So that's.
Do you remember the first show you went to?
The very first show I went to, the Cuckoo's Nest in Orange County, which is like the CBGBs of Orange County in California. I remember it was The Hated, Eddie and the Subtitles, and the Dickies. And this was like 1980, I'm guessing. I'm guessing.
Wow.
Right. I can't remember the exact year. I mean, I know I've been to some of the biggest punkaramas LA ever had.
What was the scene like back then in like 1980? It had to be kind of wild.
Is insane, man. There are punk rockers everywhere, but
What
it was
some
also
of the other big Madame Wong. Was that a?
Well-
no. It was like a Chinese restaurant by day. Wasn't in,
Cathay de Grand, or
Was there a Hong Kong cafe?
you know what? It was more. I mean, the LA clubs that I went to back then. I think the first time I went to the Whiskey, I saw DOA with MDC.
Wow.
And
Shit.
it was insane. It was crazy. I mean, I've been to Hollywood Palladium and this. What the hell?
Did it make you want to play? Like it just made you want to just.
No. I sang in a band in high school. I was the front man, and the first band I was ever in We were named Public Enemy, and that's a no shitter. And this is 1981, 82, right around there. And, of course, we don't copyright the name. I don't have the publishing rights to that, or else I'd be in Chuck D's wallet, But we never did. We never did.
He's just joking, Chuck.
No, but
everything that you've mentioned so far, like all three New York acts, so no wonder you ended up in New York. You're like Public Enemy, Kiss, Ramones.
Yeah. No,
your heart was moving this way.
I guess so. And you know what? I had made a port visit here in 1986 when I left California. The first time I was in the Navy, and I did 4 years here on the East Coast, and we did a port visit at Port Jeff. Now, who doesn't like Port Jeff? So I was like, holy crap, this place is awesome. Maybe I'll come back here someday.
What year was that in Port Jeff? Was around in the
1986.
70s? Oh, 86?
86. I was here.
I thought it was founded
and then
in like 88.
Then I went back to California. I re-enlisted in the Navy. I wound up doing 8 years in the Navy. And my second duty station was my home of Long Beach, California. So I said, okay, what the hell? I'll go. I'm 21 years old. You're going to give me $20,000 for 4 more years? Where do I sign? So I did. During that tour, I met a girl from Babylon who was going to Syracuse University at the time. And I met her during a spring break. She flew out to California for spring break, and I met her, and we hit it off, and everything was great. She moved to L.A. with me after I got out of the Navy. She moved to L.A. with me. I put her through college for a couple of years, and after 2 years, she came up to me, and she said, I love you, and I love the kids. I had 2 boys at the time that I got from my first marriage, and I got custody of them. And she said, but I hate it here. She said, I can't stay here. She said, I want to go back to Long Island. I want to go back to college on Long Island, and I'd love for you and the boys to come with me. And at that time, this is 92 now. L.A. is a whole different animal. L.A. is every day. All I heard was
the riots.
All I heard was gunshots, helicopters, and sirens.
Yeah,
every day, all day long. And I'm
made a
sitting
whole
there.
documentary about it.
Yeah.
LA 92.
Did you watch that?
Yeah,
On
dude, I
Netflix?
missed the riots by
Terrifying.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I work downtown. And I'm not a stick my head in the sand kind of guy. If I see you getting beat up by 4 dudes, I don't give a shit what you did. I'm going to help you. I'm going to try to stop it. And I was just a blessing in disguise that I got the hell out of there, because I didn't want my kids growing up doing the same shit I did. I was out of fucking control. I mean, I'm pretty tame now because I'm an old man, but not when I was not then. No way. I was.
Watch out, Arizona.
coming.
What's funny is, look out. I'm going to buy a house in a 55 plus community because I'm going to be 55, so they're going to let me buy it.
Yeah.
And there goes the
Guy
neighborhood.
knows
I
how to
fucking
party,
Ice-T
man.
in my head.
Yeah.
Ice-T's going to be rocking that place.
So
Or body count.
Fast forward to there goes the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Which was around that time.
That's
yeah.
what's going to happen when I move in. They're going to be, what the fuck?
You know what I do every time we play a show? I'm like sound checking.
Dude, I've heard you do that before.
And I
call that shit out, too.
I fucking do it because I want at least one person in the crowd to be like,
Yeah.
fuck yeah.
Yeah.
And one time I did it at O'Brien's, and I remember we were playing a show, and I was like, yeah, we're Body Count from Long Island. And I said it as a joke because I didn't. I was like,
And nobody got it?
well, I mean, everyone got it except for this one kid that came up to me after the set, and he
Where's
was
Ice?
and he was like, "Yo," he's like, "I love whatever you guys played. That was awesome. You guys, that was a great set. But every time I look up your band, the only thing that comes up is this Ice-T band." I was like, "Oh shit!" I was like, "Yo, I was just kidding. I'm like, we're called Playing Dead, not Body Count."
Yeah.
So that was
That's
funny.
great.
So fast forward, you get here in the '90s, and when do you and Jeff meet?
Okay, I got here in 92, and I had been playing bass for maybe 3 years at this point, and I only started playing bass actually while on a ship out at sea. And you got to have something to do besides lift weights, play cards, and sleep.
Yeah.
So I bought a bass, and I just started teaching myself. I've never taken a lesson in my life. I don't know how to read. I don't know how to write.
Music.
Music,
Okay.
right. I only play by ear and by sight. I don't know squat.
Yeah, me neither.
There's a lot of times at practice I'll be like, Jeffy, how's that one go again?
Yeah.
And he has to show me. This is the trained bassist
this
right
guy
here.
is
This
like-
guy's insane.
Yeah, believe me.
I've had people come up to me and be like, what's it like to be in a band with the guitar player's a better bass player than you? I'm like, fuck you.
Oh, stop.
fucking
No, I get that, dude. I get that all the time. I'm like, shut the fuck up, man.
I'm blushing.
All right, so I got here in '92, and I didn't know shit about Long Island music scene at all. So I picked up the Island Ear and was looking to play in a band. And I saw this guy. He had an ad looking for a bass player, and he was like into the more like replacements, Husker Du type stuff. And I'm like, fuck, I love both those bands. So I called this guy up and I tried out for the Vicious Beatniks. And I replaced Joe Kowalski, who if anybody knows where Joe Kowalski is, please let me know, because I miss that guy, and I haven't heard from him or seen from him in 10 years at least, if not more. But I replaced him, and that kind of opened my eyes to what was going on here. And this is 93, and I think 94 and 95 I picked up an Under the Volcano. And once I picked up Under the Volcano and I started reading, I was like, holy shit, there's more going on here than I know. And because I'm not from here, I didn't grow up here, I don't know where to go. And
what was the scene like in 90, like when he got here, Jeff?
Well, I've never. It's a weird question to ask me because I've never really felt a part of the scene or any scene. McKinney loves music. I go to shows. I really didn't even start going to shows until I was in college. I mean, I've been listening to punk rock records since I was like 13, but I didn't actually start going to shows. So, I didn't grow up through like my high school years as a part of some punk rock community. All my friends in high school were more metalheads.
Me neither.
Yeah, I mean, me and you, right? So, I don't know what the scene was like. I mean, I was in bands, I guess.
What were you doing in when he got here?
Well,
when he
Jeff is like 10 years younger than me.
Yeah.
When he got off
I'm a few years
when
younger.
I got off the boat.
Yeah.
When I crossed the river.
Had the straw between his teeth.
From my perspective on meeting Marc, so Aaron, or Coach from Two Man, I don't know what to say with Two Man. Do we use the real names or do we use the stage names? I don't know what we do here. Aaron, who is the drummer in Two Man, a.k.a. Coach.
His name is Coach.
So him and I, he was sort of
kiss
my
on the ass.
introduction into actually meeting people, part of a punk rock community. He's from Pittsburgh. We both went to Hofstra. Long story, we ended up becoming roommates our freshman year and found a camaraderie in punk rock. And him being the much more like extroverted personality than me, had very quickly come into a group of all the punk rock kids at Hofstra. And because I was a roommate, I kind of tagged along, eventually became friends. We found a mutual interest in playing music together, found that we made a really good combination, me playing bass and playing drums. And him and I have really been in bands ever since then. So that's like 1992 until now. I don't think there's been more than a few months that have gone by when him and I have not been in a band together. So I think at the time we met Marc was probably around 90.
I think 96, because in 96
after college.
I was helping Rich Black with Under the Volcano, and he had mentioned that he knew a guitar player was looking for a bassist. Now, the Vicious Beatniks, the singer dude that I joined the band with, he moved to Jersey, so the band dissolved. And so I sat around for like 2 years. I wasn't playing. I wasn't doing anything. Just raising my kids. And Rich Black mentioned, he's like, I know this guitar player named Ron who's looking to start a band. And I said, connect the dots. And Ron came over, and he and I just clicked. I mean, Ron, I don't know if you know Ron Noyes, but he is the sickest guitar player. I mean, this guy's just phenomenal. I don't know what the fuck he's doing. Ron, what is that? I don't know that fucking note. Oh, that's A flat diminished 13th. Motherfucker, English. I don't fucking get that shit. So, but Ron made me a much better bass player, because he would go home and write some sick bass lines and shit that I could never come up with, and he would bring that to the table, and then we added Harry on drums, and we added Mike Rudnick on vocals, and Pacifier was born, and we played.
Shout out to Harry for always being the best Facebook poster I have. So
I wouldn't know about that.
I appreciate it.
I'm blocked or unfriended or some shit. Either one. Take your pick. Whatever. It's okay.
Ron is the connective tissue.
Yes,
here,
Ron connected
at the
us.
same time that Ron was in Pacifier with these guys, Ron was in a band with Aaron and I called Quarters, and we shared a practice space. So Pacifier, Quarters, we all shared a practice space. Quarters broke up at some point. Ron kept playing with you.
Yeah.
Aaron and I started another band called the Judas Iscariot, which is the first band I was in that people actually cared about.
What'd that band sound like?
We were vocals, bass,
fucking
and drums.
insane. Say it.
No guitar. We had no guitar. I played through 3 amps.
Crazy.
And a distortion pedal.
How the fuck did you come across, like...
How did that band form?
No, I'm just
By
saying.
accident.
I'm saying like that rig. Like at an early age, what made you?
Well, it developed. It wasn't such an early age. I mean, this is already post college for me.
but like,
Because when we realized we were actually going to be a band and do this without a guitar player, well, the first thing was I had to have amps on both sides of the stage for stereo sound, and then because I was playing through a bass overdrive pedal,
He was insane.
I figured it was I should have one more amp that's always clean. So I would have 2 distortion amps, but line out so that one of the amps bypassed the pedal, so that it was clean. So that's how the 3-amp thing came up. But so those were the 2 bands that were sharing the practice space, and that's kind of when everyone who practiced in that practice space
got to know each other.
all became friends, got to know each other, were kind of incestuous with the whole band thing.
Yeah.
And
you guys all playing shows together? Like,
yeah.
what was
Judas
the-
and Pacifier played shows together, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And my middle son, he was 7 years old. The very first show he ever went to was Judas
first show.
Iscariot.
Judas Iscariot at the
Huntington Y.
Now,
You know,
like
that's insane shit.
bringing the kids in at that early age. Like, did like what do they think now? I'm sure they're grown ass men now.
Well, they all have developed their own musical interests, but they're still punk rockers at heart.
Yeah.
They bleed, eat, sleep, shit, wipe their ass with punk rock.
But they love that you took him, right? It probably.
Yeah. They've said it to me like, Dad, I can't believe some of the bands that I saw. And I said, dude, you're 7 years old, man.
I remember seeing one of your kids crowd surf at a Deja-one show. I'm like, nobody better drop this fucking kid. Not only is he going to be pissed, this venue's done.
When you want to talk about Deja, I want to tell a story about
Go ahead.
how. Well, let's finish how we all.
Okay, sure.
How Two Men got started, and then from Pacifier and Judas being friends, and all of us just basically getting to know each other. And one thing that I will always hold dear to my heart is the punk rock and the Long Island hardcore scene open doors to me, and as an outsider. I didn't grow up here. I didn't go to high school with you. I don't know your sister. I don't. Yeah.
Hope not.
But it was, and that's the beautiful thing about punk rock is just the door's always open. You know what I mean? I've come and gone from the scene. For 11 years, I didn't do anything. I didn't play in a band. I didn't put on shows. I didn't write for any magazines. I was raising my kids. I was being a dad.
But people remember you. Like, people always remember you, and I think just like, not to blow you live, not at the on
No
this
bologna
podcast,
sandwiches.
but it just the character that you have, like I think you're just like an awesome person. I think a lot of
I
people,
appreciate that. I've always lived my life by a simple rule, and the easiest way to say it is just treat people the way you want to be treated.
Yeah.
I'm going to treat you with respect at all times. Give it back, because if you don't get it back, that door's shut. You can go fuck yourself.
Like when you say like, oh, Mark Lopez, like I've never heard not anyone be like, I love that guy. Like that's it. That's all I'm telling you.
I could introduce you to.
Yeah, there's a few. There's a few, but
He's blocked by that one guy. That's about it.
That guy's
That's that guy.
No, but
Guys, next
I
week.
appreciate that. And you know what? I've always tried to be fair and be kind and treat people with
All right,
respect.
you got enough compliments.
That's
Let's
it.
move
That's it. Now I'm going to be an asshole.
on. How did Two Man form? Like, how did that go?
Go ahead, Jeff. You can start and I'll.
Okay, that's interesting because of the two of us here, I'm not
All right,
an original member, but I'll
Yeah,
it's
you
okay.
got
I
it.
was
You
part of
know
the
it.
story. So, Pacifier and Judas Iscariot, and a band called Swim Leon,
Yep.
and who
Swim
else
Leon.
played?
The
Swim
Last
Leon.
Crime. The Last Crime?
You know where that name comes from?
No.
Swim Leon.
Oh,
Leon Klinghoffer, the guy who was thrown off the boat, the Achille Lauro, the cruise ship. He was a guy in a wheelchair, and it was a boat that was hijacked.
Yeah.
A cruise ship. And his name was Leon Klinghoffer. This happened probably in the 80s, I want to say.
believe
He was in a
so,
wheelchair,
yeah.
and he was thrown off the ship. His name was Leon. So the band's called Swim Leon.
The Last Crime played that show too.
Oh,
The Last Crime.
But, well, I'm thinking of the
funny,
members
man.
of Two Man. So we have a friend named Brent Clark, who was a Long Island hardcore guy, and he moved up to Vermont for college. He's lived there ever since. And he had this big cabin in the middle of the woods, nowhere near anybody else, and he used to have these crazy Halloween parties. He'd invite all his friends who were in bands from New York, Long Island, to come up and play until 4 o'clock in the morning. And Halloween of 1996, he had one of these parties, and Aaron and I were in Judas. Him, Harry, and Mike were in Pacifier, and Rob, or Skate, the other guitar player in Two Man, the guy with the dreads who sings, he was in Swim Leon. And it was a great time. It was an amazing show, a lot of fun. And Spag was there too,
the singer,
but not in a band. And he decided that for the following year's Halloween party, he wanted to put together a band just to play that one party. And everyone would dress up as Halloween, and Spag is not just a huge hockey fan, but was also like an all-state goalie when he was in high school.
Yeah, he played for a lot of years.
So he wanted to do a band, 10-minute-long songs about hockey and beer, play the party, that's it. Everyone would dress up as hockey players, that's it.
One show.
It's a pretty fucking good idea.
So,
21 years later.
So these guys, and I remember when this was happening because they were down in our practice space, but it was Spag, Mark, Harry.
Yeah, Harry and Rob as a four-piece.
Four-piece. And they would get, and I just remember I would sit on practices, and the names of the songs were Beer Number 1, Beer Number 2, Hockey Number 1. That was it.
Yeah.
So
Ode to Judas Iscariot.
Ode to Judas
That made it. I tried to play like Jeff, like one for one song, like 13 seconds. I sucked at it, but
by far
like,
the best song they had. So they, everyone knew what they were doing. Everyone was kind of psyched to see this thing, and Spag was kind of a personality in the scene. Everybody knew who Spag was. He was a rider from the Volcano. He did security at Tower Records. Everybody knew who Spag was.
Yeah.
And
I didn't even know there was security at Tower Records.
Yeah, he was wandering around. Yeah,
he just bought records there.
You didn't. You weren't a bad kid. You didn't hide stuff.
So that year,
I was a bad
so
kid.
that particular year,
I was just stealing from the wall.
A month after all these songs had been written, a month out from this party, Brent had to cancel the party.
Oh wow!
And that was going to be it. That was it. But it came from outside. Like people like me and we were so psyched. They're like, guys, you got to play at least one show. You have to air these songs at least once.
Why'd the party get canceled? Did the cake
the
get delivered too
neighbors.
early?
I think that year they had there was something going on where they couldn't like go nuts until 4 a.m. and
it's colossally irrelevant to the story.
I know.
Yeah.
So anyway, so they booked a show at Dr. Shays with a bunch of
in Lindenhurst.
In Lindenhurst, headlining the show, even though nobody had any idea what the band sounded like, looked like, had no idea what they.
And it was called Two-Man Advantage.
Yeah, Two-Man Advantage.
What does that even mean? Because I don't know anything about hockey.
It's a hockey term when a team is penalized
twice.
Twice on the same penalty. So, it's 5-on-5. One guy gets penalized. Now it's 5-on-4. If another guy gets penalized, then you have one team 5-3. It's a two-man advantage.
Oh, that's correct.
So it's a hockey term.
Yeah.
I think these guys went through a book of hockey terms and just started trying to.
Is that what?
Yes.
Killer
Spag and I
choice.
were on the phone for like a half hour,
Face
10, 5-minute major, which was a band.
That was a band.
That was a band. Yeah, after us. Yeah,
Fight for fighting.
tripping.
Blades of
blue
Steel.
line.
Good game right there.
Face off.
Love that game.
Slap shot.
that was
slap
taken.
shot.
That was taken.
All right, listen. That's
But-
irrelevant to Jeff's
So-
story.
Yeah, sorry, Jeff. Go ahead.
So anyway, so this show happened, and I was there, and the place was packed. The place was packed
For our first show, it
and
was fucking funny.
I say this as an unbiased person because at the time I was at the show, I had no inkling I'd ever be in the band or that there would even be a second show. They were incredible. By the second chorus, I remember them playing Beer Man. Nobody had ever heard this song before. By the second chorus, the entire place was singing the chorus.
That's when you know it's a good one.
It was amazing, and it
Yeah.
had a sense. The show had a sense of like danger that I feel like a lot of Long Island shows at the time, like that kind of, especially like the other scenes I was in, was a lot of people with folded arms watching bands.
Predictable.
This had a real sense of like I may get hit in the head any moment, and it was so much fun, and there was so much demand that they booked a second show.
Yeah.
That was also packed. And in between, after the second show,
Well, let's go with the first show, Mark. Like when you start playing these songs and like people are going off, like what are you thinking in your head? You're like, how the fuck, like?
I'm just smiling from ear to ear because this is not what I expected.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I booked the show at Dr. Shays just so all our friends could get there. It was kind of close to wherever we all live, and they had cheap beer.
He basically
and a built-in
started
PA.
the band,
Right.
and the first show was outstanding. Like,
Off the
when
hook.
does that happen?
Yeah. It was insane. So after the first show, we had people, when's the next one? And we're just looking at each other like, what the fuck are you talking about? This is a one-shot deal. And no, it's not. And we just looked at each other like, oh shit, this was not what we expected. Now I have another band going on at the same time, and so does Harry, and so does Rob, and so we just kind of like rolled with it, and we played one more show, and it was packed again. And but where's your shirts? Where's your demo?
Well, you had the demos at the second show.
Did we have them?
Yeah, they had that in between the first and second show. They
Right.
got themselves into a studio and recorded the demo because after that show,
Right.
Judas had to show up in Vermont, and I drove up and had the demo and listened to it like twice each way. Like the band wasn't just, on the surface it was like a gimmick thing. I mean, obviously that's something that we've heard for the last 21 years is gimmick, and I know that there's people who would probably like the band but won't give us the time of day because they look at us as hockey jerseys or jock punk, blah.
We're far from it.
The band
We're
would
far
not
from it.
have succeeded past that second show if the songs weren't super good. And listened to the demo a ton, and they played a third show, which was not that great.
Right. Third show, I was pissed.
What happened?
At that
Fell
point,
flat that one.
they decided.
Yeah. That one, we're not going to talk about that one. We're next. Go ahead.
At that point, I think
Really?
that they had sort of
Yeah, we're
decided.
going to next it.
We're gonna next it. Okay.
Yeah, they decided that they kind of wanted to be a real band, and the demo clearly had 2 guitar parts going on. And I just said, if you're going to be a band, you clearly need another guitar player.
Now, at this time, Jeff has never played guitar in his life.
Oh
No,
goodness.
I've
Never played guitar. Went out,
He had
bought
3
himself
amps,
a
though.
guitar. Yeah, he did have 3 amps. went out, bought himself a guitar, showed up to practice, and blew us away. Knew every song front to back, no stopping, no teaching. He had it. And I just looked at that spag, and I'm like, oh, shit, here we go. A band that's not supposed to be doing anything is now growing legs.
And every other band that we were in broke up within about 6 months.
Yes.
Within
Yes.
about 6 months, every band that we had in that was like the real band, Quarters broke up. Quarters was already broke up. Judas broke up. Pacifier broke up.
Yep.
Some Leon broke up. Every band broke up.
A lot going on fast, man.
And
Yeah,
we
it
were the
happened
band.
all in
And
line and
it
shit,
happened
yeah.
quick. Within a year, we did 2 split 7-inches with local bands, Loiterers and Mad Cow Disease. By October of '98, which was 1 year after the first show,
We got
a
signed.
CD was out. Label
Signed by who?
Royalty.
Royalty Records.
Royalty Records. At
How'd
the
that
time,
come
they
about?
were. They actually came and saw us at the Roadhouse Pub in Center Reach,
Center, okay.
and I think
Shout
we
out,
went
shout
on.
out to my high school.
We went out. We went on about like 2:30 in the morning.
It was a double header with Furious George.
right. We
played
played 2
in
shows.
1 day.
2 shows in 1 day.
I was in jail in '98, but go ahead.
And
Did you
we
see
went
our
on-
drummer there? Did you see our old drummer at the time? Because he may have been
I
there
don't-
with you.
Yeah, I don't think Harry played that show.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
No,
kidding.
it
I'm
did
joking.
happen though.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
He
we
might have
should-
been. He might have been in Riverhead with me.
Who knows? Who knows? So Royalty Records came out and saw us, and we went on like 2:30 in the morning, and like
2:30 in the morning. holy
Three,
shit.
30 seconds in, the place erupts. And we're like, this is fucking crazy. It's late, man. I'm old. Now, this is 20 years ago. I'm like 33, and I'm old at this fucking show. I'm 53 now. Who gives a fuck? Let's go. I'll play at 2:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
My whole mentality has changed, I
course.
guess. But that's how we got signed. And then we did our first tour with Kill Your Idols. And that was just,
How long was that tour?
it was 10 days down to Florida and back. And I had booked Kill Your Idols' first tour. This is when I was booking
You were
tours.
booking tours. Like, what was that like back then?
Difficult.
You
there
did
was no
like
internet.
Inhuman, right?
There was no internet. You had to get on the phone. Yeah, I booked Inhuman's tour too.
Yeah, we're gonna get Mike on the show soon.
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah. I love that band. Love Mike, and it was a lot of phone work, And it's you basically picked up a copy of Book Your Own Fucking Life, and you did the best you could.
Is that what you did?
Yep, absolutely. And that's how I booked tours.
Was there a bunch of like sketchy Rick to Life like bookings in there, or did he help out at all? Because I know he was big back then.
No. I pretty much did it all on my own. I mean, every once in a while, if I got in a snag in a certain city, I would ask for help. At a show or something. Hey, you know anybody in Detroit or something like that? But it was all on the phone, man. It was so different.
The one thing that I find fascinating that I get from just like talking to people on this show is just the aspect of like people going to a show that you booked, and like let's say the venue closed, the show moved, the show's canceled. Like,
How did you find that out?
Yeah.
You found out when you got there.
Yeah.
That's happened to us before.
Our first tour that happened, we drove from, we had a show in Austin, Texas, and we had drove from New Orleans to Austin, Texas.
Which is not a crawl.
And the place was boarded up.
wow.
Nobody to get in touch
Horrible.
with. We went for dinner. We saw in the papers that the Riverboat Gamblers were playing that night. And we called the club begging. and they said no to us. And I think we ate dinner and packed up the car and went to Phoenix.
Yeah. I mean, it's a whole different time then. I mean, now everything is so accessible. You can get in touch with anybody, any place, anytime. It's just it's different. But I also think it's lost its personal touch.
The personal touch.
Is that what I made contact with you, looking for a show for my band, and you helped me out. So when I got to meet you, it was like we already had like a little bond. You know what I mean? So we'd go over details. We would go over details. We would talk about, what time do you want us there? What's our slot time? Who else is playing? Blah, blah, blah. And we do what we could and put ads in Under the Volcano or little magazines or whatever the fuck, just to get word out that, hey, we're coming through town. And now it's different. Now it's all internet based. And I feel, maybe it's because I'm old, but it's just lost its personal touch. You know what I mean? I think there's...
Yeah, no, definitely.
There's things that I'm friends with people on Facebook I don't even fucking know.
But what do you think of like the time, like you said, like the difference in eras? Let's say as far as like booking a tour, which did you ever do or? Did you ever
when I joined the band, Marc was in the band for the first, and so from that. The band formed around 97, and Marc was in the band until about 2001.
September 2001.
And in those years, he did everything. He did all the booking and everything.
I ordered the T-shirts, and I scheduled practice, and I dealt with the label. And
he was the guy.
I took care of the van, and whatever had to get done for Two Man, Marc took care of.
He was the guy. When he left the band, I kind of took over that role from him.
Okay. So
I have a foot in the early 2000s when it was like that, using contacts we had, phone calls, things like that. I had also, my first tour I ever did was with a band from Pittsburgh that's still around called Submachine. And I played drums. I filled in for them summer 94. I turned 21 on that tour, which those are some guys to turn 21 with. So I remember the days of like calling AAA to get directions to where you're going, or like the kid. It was funny because people were posting some old flyers, and there was a time where it wouldn't just be the address on the flyer. It would be like,
directions.
Take the Long Island Expressway to 45, turn left at the thing.
Like that flyer right there.
There you go.
You bust out the big paper mat from the glove box.
So I wasn't unfamiliar. I definitely used the Book Your Own Fucking Life manual, which was like the internet for, it was a roadmap, really. It was great.
Now,
it
explain
was
to people
every year.
what that book is, like that haven't probably...
Book Your Own Fucking Life is put together by a bunch of volunteers. And Under the Volcano's staff did do it one year. And I did help out with it. And what
it
you
was
do is
started by Maximum Rock and Roll.
Yeah, Maximum Rock and Roll started it, and it's still going today. But
there's an online version,
it's online.
But it's not very updated anymore,
right?
Like it used to be.
But it used to submit all your data. Whether you were a promoter or distro or label or band, and it was categorized by state, so you could always find. Okay, I'm going to be in California. So let me find a show in San Diego, and then you just start searching. And this thing was thick. This thing was fucking huge. It was a big book. I got to say, close to 300 pages. That's a lot of data, and all manually entered. Typewriters and shit. It was a great learning experience. I know the staff under the Volcano the year I did it, we all worked hard on that. And it's
something to be proud of. I love it.
Absolutely. It's like giving back, man.
Giving back, like we played, my band played New Jersey last weekend, and then we played like out in Bushwick. And the show in Bushwick had a band from Canada. And like my aunt came and watched this, and I'm explaining to her, kind of the deal, because she's like, why are they from Canada or whatever.
Yeah.
And anyone who isn't involved in it, I try to explain to them, it's like, when they come here, like everyone helps. Like, and if we ever needed to go to fucking Toronto, whatever, it's like this awesome, just like community. Like,
the show you played in Holtzville, that was to generate some money from your friends that were going on the road, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it's like this.
I know exactly what you mean.
I love it.
I went through that quite a few with girlfriends where, I bring up a band from Baltimore. I actually remember the band Meat Jack. I brought them up to play Deja one time.
They're our next guest.
Nice.
Nah.
From
Didn't
Baltimore.
that dude have like a 40-inch bass drum or something?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's all I fucking remember.
And they was going to say something else.
No.
And they broke down. They broke down on the way.
Meat was in there.
On the way to the show, they broke down, and I drove the two-man van, and I picked them up and brought them to the show, and they still are able to play the show. And now I feel like I'm the promoter. I'm the reason why they're coming here. It's my job to take care of them. Now, after the show, I made sure not only to get a hotel, but I put their friggin' van into the right mechanic's hands. And the girlfriend I had at the time, she's just looking at me like, why are you doing all this? I said, because if I was on the road, they would do the same for me.
Yeah.
Right.
That's exactly
That's
it.
it.
Yeah.
Simple.
And
Simple.
that's still the way. Just because we have the internet, which makes it, it does make it much easier to book things or find people who can help. There's still no replacement for those human connections and contacts you make. I mean, we're doing, I don't want to get into it now, but on the way back from the two-man tour, me, Rob, and Aaron are doing this kind of side thing.
I saw that, like
and
an
we're
acoustic
playing,
thing, right?
yeah, it's like an acoustic thing with bass drums, and we'll be playing together in May. But we're playing Elko, Nevada, Salt Lake City, Utah, Minneapolis, and these dates did not come from internet searches. They came from contacts that are more than 15 years old. So that human connection is still the way
It's
to
still
go.
there.
But the
Yeah,
internet, I guess, maybe is what gets you there first if you have no contacts in a
Of
particular
course.
city.
Yeah, I like that. Now, the first record, the first full length, if we can go back there, which was called, was it
Drafted.
Okay.
Yeah, we wanted to call it Drafted, DRAUGHTED.
This was my idea. This was my first. This was one of my first creative contributions to the band. Is coming up with the album title, Drafted, because it
We got
insinuates
drafted. We got a record
your first
contract.
album.
Yeah.
but it also has like a beer reference of a draft. But I wanted to spell it with a like that with the GH
DRAU.
to make it very clear
Yeah.
it was a beer reference. And everyone's like, the guys in the band like everyone's going to call the album Droughted.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
yeah, yeah.
no. I'm like, come on, no.
No,
So I
but
brought
a
it
lot
to
of
work
people
with
did.
me. I brought it to work and I just wrote it and I said, say this. And everybody said Droughted.
Damn.
So I went back with I'm like,
Yeah, we had to change it to Drafted.
All
The
right.
fucking Oneaters.
Yeah, exactly.
Neither.
Exactly. So we,
and how did Spag find, like, he wrote all the lyrics, right?
no, that's
Oh, really?
That's a little bit of a team concept.
Oh, that's interesting.
And now it's more of a coach. Coach writes majority of the
Coach
lyrics and skate
and Mike's written some too.
Yeah, Mike too.
It's collaborative.
Mike
The
too.
whole band is collaborative.
I don't write any lyrics. I mean,
There are no individual songwriting credits on any Two-Man Advantage song ever.
every song written by
There
Two-Man
is-
Advantage.
Somebody, I may come up with a core of a song, or Rob or him, lyrics. Everything goes through what I call the Two-Man Advantage filter. It's a filtration system where it goes through all of us and comes out something different and hopefully, better. Because I think that we all are creative people. We all have input. All of us have input to the lyrics, even if it's a line. I mean, the last album, I don't do any of the vocals. One song. One song I'm vocals on Dynasty. But anyway, well, I wear a mask on stage. It's hard to sing. So,
Yeah.
but I don't have a lot to do with the lyrics. But the last album, there was a session, and we were just stuck on a line, and something popped into my head, and it worked, and we used it. So it's a total collaborative system. But Spag actually writes some of my favorite lyrics
Was it
on the
my,
first album, which is Fast Car.
Yeah.
He wrote all the lyrics on Fast Car, which are great.
And we had on our new. We have an EP out called Bar Down, and there was Aaron was a coach was told he and I were talking at practice, and I said, how come you guys never wrote a song like Empty Netter? He's like, what? I said, there's no empty netter. There's always an empty netter in a game. Sure as shit. There's an empty netter on the new Two-Man record.
Nice.
So,
Okay.
so it's just little things like that
Right.
like he said, we all just pitch in
Collaborative.
and just go.
Wow. Okay. So then, yeah, I don't know the whole catalog, but is there any other songs that have nothing to do with hockey?
Yeah, we have a few. There's about porno.
Okay.
That's that, yeah,
Cars.
That's the one song yet.
yeah.
The song's
I love
about
that song.
cars.
Our
Yeah.
audience loves porn. so
It was a good lead.
There's one song.
Good leading with that.
We're
We
not.
like nudity.
We are not allowed to play that song at ABC No Rio. We avoid that song at ABC.
The porn
Yeah.
song?
Yeah, we avoid the porn song.
Yeah.
But there's songs about some drinking. There's songs about some cars. I mean,
What- is
but
it
to
just
me,
a connection?
I gotta tell you though something though.
Okay.
And I mean this. I'm not trying to like retroactively put some meaning behind it, but especially maybe not some of the earlier records that were a little more less subtle about hockey and stuff, but a lot of the newer stuff, the last with Dynasty, which was the last full length, which was before he rejoined, and Bar Down, the lyrics are about hockey, but there is a slightly deeper meaning to some of the songs that are more fundamentally about people working together as a community, about
Yeah.
friendship, about bonds that keep people together. And if you look a little deeper, there's some
underlying undertones that
we use hockey
that
almost
are
as a
different.
metaphor for some things. I'm not making it more like artsy fartsy than it is. Believe me, I'm not. It's punk rock. It's about hockey. It's about drinking. It's about friendship. But that is pretty meaningful.
Yeah, if you dig down, there's a little bit more.
Okay.
There's a little more.
So you left September 2001. That's interesting. I didn't know that.
I left. This is no shit. My last show in the band was 9/8/01,
Wow.
and then 3 days later, the Twin Towers came down. And my last show was at the Continental, which you guys know was down the block.
And to add to that,
and it was scary. That's a scary time, man. It was fucked up.
To add to that, also, there was a band that they just broke up recently called the Bullies, and we played with the Bullies all the time, going back to the '90s. And their guitar player in that band was Johnny Heffernan is his real name. He was a firefighter. He was at that show on September 8th. It was a Saturday night, I think.
Yep.
And he was at the show. We were like, hey, you guys don't even play tonight. Why are you out here? And I just remember him being, dude, he's like, I'm here to see my favorite band, hang out with you guys. And he was killed. He was killed 4 days later in the attacks.
Wow. That's crazy. I was waiting for it, but I was like, maybe he didn't.
No.
Tribute shows were done for him every year at the Trash Bar. We played almost all of them, and Trash Bar closed, so I guess they've kind of stopped, and the Bullies recently split, but we did it for many, many years, and remember him, and he was awesome. I would not fuck with that guy.
No, he's fucking Popeye the
One
Sailor
punch,
Man.
I'm done.
Yeah, have a nice day.
Right to sleep.
Yeah.
What made you leave the first time?
I got promoted at work, and I was not able to give the band the time to tour, because at the time we were on the road a lot, and I couldn't do it anymore. And the job that I took care of my family financially, and now I have benefits, now I have vacation, now I have, and I doubled my money. I doubled my hourly income. So I was like, guys, I can't turn this down. This is what's going to take care of my kids. I have to do this. So I did. And I don't regret it anyway. You know what I mean? But I still stayed in touch with the band. I made a point of seeing them play at least once a year. We would go to a show, and just these guys are the greatest dudes I've ever been in a band with. These guys are my brothers.
What was it like when he left, Jeff?
Not entirely unexpected. I think that we kind of saw it coming with his kids, and his kids are just amazing, and they've turned. I got to say that really outside of the band, I have a very, very deep respect for Marc. That he has been able to balance so much stuff and do all this punk rock stuff and give to the scene and book shows and do all that stuff, but really raised 4 kids, really 3 biological kids, one from another relationship, but who he really helped raise, and all 4 of those kids I've seen gone from this big to being taller than me, adults. I mean, his oldest kid has kids of his own, so Marc's actually a grandfather.
Grandpa. I got 3 grandkids.
And they are all
it's wonderful.
They
it's
are
great.
all amazing kids, and they grew up essentially with a single father. And I have all the respect in the world for Marc. And we saw it coming because his kids were reaching an age where they were going to need their father around. We knew about the job. So it wasn't – we got the vibe from him. But it sucked because we were losing a great bass player, a guy who has written songs.
Where did the name, your 2-man name come from?
Okay. At the time,
which is Teemu.
Yeah, Teemu Heineken is my name. And you're supposed to. When we started, we said we would combine our favorite hockey player with our favorite beer. And at the time, I was drinking a lot of Heineken, even though I only drink Guinness now.
Yeah.
Like I won't if it's not Guinness, I'm not drinking it. So have a nice fucking day.
Heineken sucks.
Yeah,
Heineken
But at
sucks.
the time, I was drinking a lot of Heineken. So it was Teemu Solani.
It sucks.
Shut up, Jeff. Teemu Solani is my favorite hockey player of all time, and still is. That's my guy. And Heineken was what I was drinking at the time, so I became Teemu Heineken. And Jeff in the band is just captain.
Well,
he has a last
name.
name.
That.
You have a
it
last
hasn't
name.
been used since the very first album.
That's right.
And so this is some deep.
Go ahead.
Trivia. My full name. It wasn't necessarily beer, but it was alcohol. So my full name that I haven't used since Drafted came out was Captain Bannerman, and Captain came from Captain Morgan, which I don't even like rum. So I guess I'm with you. I picked an alcohol I don't even like. But then I had to think of like like a Jewish hockey player, and so I came up with
Yeah.
Murray Bannerman, who was a backup goalie for the Chicago Blackhawks. so I was Captain Bannerman, and after a while, I just forgot that,
Right.
and just went with Captain.
Yeah, Harry's band name in the band was Amstel Fuhr, Amstel Fuhr, and then
Well,
Spag-
because
Grant.
Harry's a black guy, and
You're
Grant
right.
Fuhr was
Harry's
a black
black?
guy.
no. And he's and Spag was Drunk Bastard. Bud
Kachuk.
Bud Kachuk on the first record. Then he changed his name to Drunk Bastard. And Rob has always been Plain Old Skate. Plain Old Skate. All three words. Plain Old Skate. That's Rob.
So we actually have nicknames for our nicknames.
Yeah.
Okay.
Keep it fresh.
The bass player that took my place, Jeff Snapshot, awesome kid. I love this guy. He carried the torch for 13 years in the band.
Okay.
Now the band's in its 21st year. I've done 8. I've done the first 4 and the last 4. And the 13 in between
Wow.
were done by one guy. So basically this band's 21 years old with only 2 lineup changes.
Yeah.
That's insane. Show me another band that can do that.
And
that
when
can say
Harry
that. Not
left
too
the
many.
band, Harry left the band around 2002. He was replaced with Aaron, or coach, but he was already in the band as like a background singer. So he just went from in front of the stage to behind the kit.
And he's
So
still singing.
In 21 years, the last brand new person who joined the fold was Jeff Snapshot in 2001.
2001.
Now, did you have him picked out? Like when
He was already very tight with us. He was good friends with us. He came on the road with us and was kind of our photographer. Snapshot came because he's an amazing, incredible photographer. And he did a lot of photos for us. The second album, Don't Label Us, all the photos in that were taken by him.
Yeah.
So he was also a really good bass player. He played in some bands before us, and he knew all the songs. So he was just the most logical choice. And I think before he actually joined, he kind of filled in for some dates that Mark couldn't do.
They gave me a heads up at work that I probably shouldn't be taken off for my band because I'm being looked at for a promotion. Oh. So I kind of took that as like, okay, and then I told the guys like, look, I can't do this one coming up. Somebody else is going to take my place, and Jeff did. But I had known Jeff. I think I knew Jeff before anybody else. Where I was booking his band, he was in Slap Joint, right? Slap Joint, and and he was just a great bass player and great kid, and I loved him, and I was glad that it was him who took my place.
We did a month-long tour without Mark with Jeff, and Jeff wasn't officially in the band. And I'll never forget that we had breakfast in Arizona, ironically enough, and Spag came back to the table as breakfast, and he's like, "I just spoke to Mark, and he's
I got the job.
He's officially quitting the band." And at breakfast that day, we looked at Jeff, who had already been on the road with us for like half a month. I'm like, "So how do you feel about making this permanent?"
Yeah, you're
He's
in,
like,
dude.
He's like, "All right," and that was it.
and that's great. That's like in-house.
Yeah,
You're already there anyway.
Good fit, perfect, dude.
You know, it's like having somebody move in that you're friends with,
Yeah,
as
yeah.
opposed to like a Craigslist.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
Right.
It's like I hope.
And so now, what the fuck are we gonna do?
Wow, that's all right. Brian Langan, you played bass, right?
No, but I can try.
Actually, Dave, I'll get. Yeah, you know what, Mariko. There you go.
I play guitar.
Mariko's awesome. I love
Cut
it.
Yeah,
two
hell
strings
yeah.
off that shit.
Deja-one, right? That's what you wanted.
Yeah.
You got a Deja-one story.
Deja-one was I always I'll never forget that place. That was a place that was very special to me, and
A venue, right?
yeah,
That you
venue.
would book?
It was after Deja came after PWAC 2 got shut down after what PWAC 2 had like 4 shows.
It was the place in Bayshore. Yeah,
Yeah.
It was like an old
I was
sewing
lucky. I
warehouse.
got to play there one
Yeah.
time, but with the VSS.
Yes, yeah.
Before it got shut down.
Because
But
the H2O was the last
yeah,
one that
yeah,
got raided by the cops.
That was it. So what happened was I was in the studio recording. This is with Pacifier now, and Two Man is kind of. I was in 2 bands at the same time, trying to balance them, and it was kind of tough because Pacifier was doing stuff. I mean, we had records out and had all that shit, and not always on the road, but we went on the road too. But Pacifier was recording at a studio in Copiague that somebody hooked me up with this guy, this metalhead dude, and we're in a studio, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm going to start doing shows at this place in Mineola." I said, "Really?" I said, "What do you know about doing shows?" And he's like, "No, not. I don't know a whole lot, but man, I'm going to make a lot of money." I said, "Really?" I said, "Where are you going to do this?" And he said, "This catering hall I found in Mineola." I said, "Really? What street?" He said, Willis Avenue. I said, okay. I was like, well, what do you know about doing shows? It's like, nothing, but, I'm going to make a lot of money. That's all he kept saying to me. And I am art before profit. I don't give a flying fuck about any money.
So it's off-putting.
Right.
Yeah.
So I looked at him and I said, really, you think you can do this shit? I drove down to Deja the very next day and knocked on their door. And I introduced myself to the owners. And I sat down and I said, this is what I want to do and this is how much I'm going to pay you. And they let me in. And I said, fuck that other guy.
Yeah.
He never got to do a show there.
Oh, that's amazing.
I fucking took it right underneath from his fucking feet
Right.
because
Who's
I
our
was
next
not going to
guest?
let him rip us off. That wasn't going to fucking happen. Because all he kept talking about was how much money he's going to make. It's not about the money, you fucking dickhead. It's about taking care of these bands and taking care of the people that take care of our community. This is our community. You're a metalhead. And I'm knocking metalheads. Not in any way, shape, or form. I don't want to hear shit. However, this guy does not understand the hardcore and punk ethic. He doesn't fucking get it.
No.
So you know what? You don't get to do this shit. Fuck you. Have a nice day.
I'll tell you what,
I stole it.
I'm sure that guy's pissed now, knowing that fucking System of a Down played Deja-one, right?
Yeah.
And that guy grew up to be.
That guy grew up to be Lars Ulrich.
No, I know. I don't know where he is, but he's just he wasn't one of us. He wasn't one of us. And at that time, Long Island needed a place because we always had that one place, whether it was PWAC or PWAC 2. We always had that one place where we always went. And Jeff and I have done interviews before, and where I hear Jeff say, we went to Deja. We didn't give a shit who was playing. We just fucking went because number one, you're going to see good bands that you probably weren't going to see too often, and all of our friends were going to be there. And it was just going to be a good time, and it was all ages, no alcohol, which to me at that time had to happen here on Long Island at that time because there was a lot of the straight edge movement at that time was pretty
Huge.
big, pretty big. And I've always I'm not straight edge. I've never been straight edge, but I respect it and I support it. And I can't say it always comes back to me because I've been discriminated against because I'm not. But that happened in Boston in 1983. But I'm not going to talk about that. So
You can if you want.
Sounds interesting.
no. It was 1983. I met Dave Smalley at Newberry Comics. He had a TSOL jacket on. I'm looking at him. I'm a Southern California kid, and somebody from Boston knows who fucking TSOL is. He and I became lifelong friends. To make a long story short, I went to his rehearsal space when he was in DYS, and I met the FUs and Gangrene and all those guys, and I'm outside drinking beer and smoking cigarettes, and they're looking at me like, who the fuck is this guy? And Dave was like, he's from LA, leave him alone. He's cool.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Nice. Yeah.
They didn't fuck with me after that, but they're eyeballing me. I'm like, motherfucker, really?
In all fairness, I'm only straight edge because I tried heroin for like a few years, and I figured I should get off.
I like a clean Sammy. I'll take me a clean Sammy.
I remember.
That should be a sandwich, like a clean Sammy. What do you want? I want
always
a clean
dabbled
Sammy.
in straight edge.
You dabbled?
Like a day
No,
or
I
two
respect it.
and
And
then
I've supported. I booked many a straight edge band, and I stand by it. If that's your thing, more power to you. But it's just not for me.
I remember you breaking up what was going to be an ugly fight between Motive and Tommy Corrigan. Many of times at Deja-one.
I remember that
And
day.
then Neil Rubenstein got in there, and
having all ages though, it helps the scene though too because you're growing new fans into it that wouldn't be able to go to the shows because they were 21 and over.
That's
whatever the
why
fuck,
I never.
It helps.
Now, I don't know how many people know, but when we started doing shows at Deja, the bar was off limits downstairs.
Yep.
The bar downstairs is where all the Portuguese guys go down and watch the soccer games and they get fucked up. But there was one band who was allowed to go down there. I don't know what band that is.
It was
been-
really funny going down there too because I remember playing there and I think it was like Mephistopheles or something. We went down to get a drink and we were
With the two-man advantage, the only band allowed downstairs.
You could see the roof
Yes.
going like up and down,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
from the kids
Shaking.
stomping, and none of the we're all looking at it like this happens every week. This is gonna fall in any day now, and none of the old Portuguese dude gave a shit.
They didn't care.
It didn't even phase them that the ceiling was like constantly going like this, every.
Yeah, so we two-man would go down there and get warmed up, before our shows, but nobody else was allowed, and it was kind of cool because it was our little bar, in Little Portugal downstairs.
Little Portugal.
It was cool.
I remember being at Webster Hall and like watching. I think it was like Queens of the Stone Age, and it was the same thing. I remember just being upstairs and the floor like just bouncing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, wow, this is kind of weird. I feel like I'm going to fall through the fucking... And that's like a
I
super...
think the bouncing gives it the give to not fall through. So a couple places
Gotta
I worked,
have
they
some
were
give.
all like that. Yeah.
You got to have some give.
Gotta have some give.
Bend but not break, baby.
That's right.
So,
But Deja to me will always be special. It was a great place.
how many years did it go?
I think Deja went for 2 years, and I was running it for about a year and a half. I think it went about 2.5 years. And then when the 2-man schedule got too hectic, I had to step aside because I wasn't going to be around to run things. You know what I mean? And so I formed my first collective there, the More Noise Collective, and there was about 10 of us, and just great people, Rich Hall and Adam, and I'm going to forget names right now, so I'm going to stop right there. Christian, I mean, oh God, I could keep on going because it was a very special time for me, and it was just a way of, and I was older then, I was 33, 34. And most kids come to the shows were, 17, 18, 20-year-old kids.
Yeah.
Band included.
Yep.
And I never felt like the old timer. And I was a dad already at that time. And my kids were going to shows and they were running around Deja and everybody looked out for those kids. Everybody looked out for my kids. And I always respect that. And I always that's dear to my heart. I'm looking out for you, you're looking out for mine. That's how we roll.
All right, Marc. So you were gone for 13 years, and in those 13 years, what were you doing? Just being a dad?
I was. My kids are all lacrosse players, and they were all being recruited. And I would have to take my kids all over the country for camps and recruiting trips. And I worked 2 jobs for 2.5 years to be able to afford all that. Lacrosse is not a cheap game. That's why I needed the extra money. I was being a dad. That's what Marc was doing for 13 years, was taking care of my kids. And then when my youngest got to 7th grade, which is about the time as a coach, because I'm also their coach. I coach them in football and lacrosse. When they get to 7th grade, you basically, as a parent, you have to let go because now they're playing at school. And we're not allowed to coach. There's no dads on the sidelines. They're paid coaches and blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden I have free time in my hands, and I was sitting there like, I got to do something, and I got to do something constructive because I'm sometimes can be my own worst enemy.
In that time, did you play the bass?
I didn't. I know. I actually gave my bass to my oldest son.
Holy
he
shit.
took it to Philadelphia. I said, take this away from me because I have no use for it.
Oh, wow.
So when he was going to grad school at University of Pittsburgh,
saddest story I think I've ever heard.
He got in a band and he used my bass, and
cool.
He sent me a video, and I was like, at least somebody's using it, And that I still have that Fender. That's the Fender I use now in 2-man. So I kind of knew that I still had some music in me, and I still liked to be, I've always loved the part of being in a band, and writing songs and just having a good time with it. I achieved what I wanted to do through 2-man in the first 4 years, where I got to put records out and go on tour and be with the 4 greatest fucking guys in the world, and I was just looking to play. So I drove down to Philadelphia to my oldest son and said,
"Can I
have my bass back?" And he,
Did you?
Yeah, I did. So now he plays the drums, he plays the
I
guitar.
got a gig tonight.
He plays the keyboards. He plays bass. This guy
He's
can
got
play.
plenty of stuff to
Yeah,
play.
he had plenty. He's like, yeah, go ahead. I'm not using it anymore. So I brought my bass back, and then I started. I just made a couple of mentions to some friends, Vinny Cigar for one, and Vinny connected me with Andy from Splinterface, Andy Flav. And Andy and I just started writing some songs, just hanging out, and he was the drummer, and we started this little band called, it's spelled Warsaw Sage, but it's pronounced War Sausage. War Sausage, yeah. You know what your War Sausage is, right?
Of course.
Okay, everybody's got one. Well, I mean, every dude's got one. You got a War Sausage. So we started, and it was fun, and we were a 5-piece, and it just it wasn't what I was looking for musically, but it was fun to play. So from there, I started another band called The Great Lie with Carrie Merkel on vocals, and
shout out to Carrie.
Carrie's one of my favorite fucking people in the world.
I never see him, but he's one of my favorite people to talk to when I see him.
Yeah. Carrie's awesome, and Jerry from Jerry was also in Splinterface and Jones Crusher, and Jerry on guitar, and Harry from 2-man. This is now my 3rd band with Harry, was the original drummer of The Great Lie. So we started out as a 4-piece, and I was just having fun playing again. And I was in drop D, and I've never played in drop D before. Everything in two-man has always been standard tuning and still is to this day.
War sausage and dropping D seem to go together.
Yeah. So that's what we did. So I was playing again, and I was having fun, and I enjoyed it. And then late 2014, Jeff Snapshot, the guy that replaced me in two-man, told these guys that he was moving to D.C. And I went to their show at Sinclair's, which is right around the corner from my house. And I had spoken to Jeff, and I had spoken about it. Spag and I had spoken about it. Aaron and I had spoken about it. Rob and I didn't get a chance to talk about it. Rob is skate. So I went there. I went to the show, and I watched the two-man and just had the greatest time, had fun. And I went to Rob. I said, you're the last guy I have to talk to. I said, but, I'm playing again, and he's leaving. If you're in a pinch and need a bass player, I'm telling you right now, I'll play. And Rob looked at me and he said, that's not good enough. If you're coming back for good. And I looked at him and said, fuck yeah, dude, I'm in.
That's awesome.
Nice.
So, and then the first show back, this is the fucked up part. It's not like I'm going to get a little warm up at fucking Joey's bar down the street. Oh shit.
I've done that before. Don't I've broken
So I come back. Toys. I come back to the band. Jeff moves to DC, and I come back to the band, and it's just fun again. It was refreshing. At the time I was 40. I'm 53, so 49. I was 49 when I came back, and I felt like a fucking kid again. And just being around these guys is just enough for me. They could have asked me, hey, we need a fifth for our fucking ping pong team. Are you in? Yeah, fuck you, I'm in. I'd have done it. I didn't give a shit. I now have the time to be around guys that I love. I'm going to fucking do it. It just happened to be I'm playing punk rock again. So they said, okay, well, just so you know, our first show back is opening up for the Misfits at the Paramount.
There you go.
Right back into the fucking deep end. No fucking warm-ups, no kiddie pool. Fuck you, get in.
And with our last guest, because Haunted Hacienda played.
Yeah, they opened that show. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Now he's running for Congress after that show.
Hopeful.
Yeah, they were great too,
Yeah.
and that was my first show back, and it was just a lot of fun. And then we did our weekends and did our tours and put out another record and doing another tour this time.
We opened for Stiff Little Fingers at Irving Plaza.
Yeah,
Snapshot in 14 years never got to play shows like that.
Yeah.
He comes back and right away, bam.
Right away.
Yeah, I get the Paramount, I get the Irving Plaza,
Yeah.
I get the Punk Rock Bowling in Las Vegas. Sorry, Jeff, I love you.
How was it to have him back?
It was great, and it helped us have to make decisions and choices. When Jeff played the show in December, his last show, he had already been in DC for a few months. So there was a few months where we didn't do too much, or I would play bass at band practice just to keep some songwriting going because we had been working on some stuff. But we didn't really know what we were going to do necessarily. Maybe we'll just be a 4-piece with one guitar player, but that didn't really feel right. And when he decided to come back, it just made it so easy. It meant that the songwriting took a big break because we made the first 2 albums with Marc and the second 2 albums with Jeff. So Marc, I think a lot of people in that situation, they come back to the band and maybe they don't really want to play the stuff that they weren't on. They just want to, play the stuff, but not Marc. Marc was like, no, I'll learn everything. Yeah. So,
it sounds like
we
Marc.
spent...
This shit's good, man. The two records that without me are fucking great records.
Yeah.
I listen to them. I fucking love them.
So we spent, the better part of a year just playing catch up.
Yeah, getting me up to
gigs,
speed.
We did a tour that year, and
we did weekends, and we played some big shows and had fun.
It was great. And having Marc also return and bring a song, the first song he had written for Two Man since, 2000 or whatever was awesome. And it just, there he was to my right again in band practice, just like always.
Yeah,
and
I mean, it just felt great. Like,
yeah. It's like riding a bike, man.
Here you are, almost about to turn 50.
Yeah. The only thing that changed was the rhythm section was different because the first 2 records are me and Harry on bass and drums. So now I don't have Harry as the drummer. It's Coach. Coach is an insane drummer, but I have to
lock.
I have to get in the pocket with Aaron. It's like a whole new drummer. And Aaron's insane. He's hard to follow. He's fucking animal. He's going fucking crazy. And so it took me a little while to get used to that. And I'm fine now, but at the beginning I was like, holy shit, what the fuck is this guy doing? I'll find him, is what I kept telling myself. I'll find my drummer. Now I know where he is.
Now you know.
Right.
What I like about the new release, I mean, there's a long story behind the new release that I'm not going to waste time telling. Bar down.
Okay,
the
yeah.
6-song EP.
Six-song.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's a whole story behind it I'm not going to waste time with, but the one thing I do want to say about it that I really like about it. Okay, so real quick about the new album
Mayhem
is the intention. Yeah, the intention of was
Still in their coffins.
a band, an amazing band that we have been friends with since actually probably shortly after he left the band, but a long time is the Daycare Swindlers, who are from Virginia. Totally amazing band. Last year was also their 20th anniversary, so we wanted to celebrate together, and the intention was to do a split LP. The 20-year anniversary shows that we did, we brought them up. They played both of the shows we did, the City and the Long Island one with us, and we wanted to have the split LP ready for that show. We had a deadline date of like August 1st. If everything can get everything done by August 1st, artwork, we could have the vinyl by then. One of the bands had everything ready by August 1st. The other band
that would be us.
hadn't even started finishing songwriting. And they just said, listen.
Haven't even finished songwriting.
They're like,
Right.
this isn't going to happen. Like, we rushed our asses off to get this done.
Yeah. We
Coach
worked
was
hard.
cracking the whip and like, yeah, it's not going to happen. But we wanted to put something out because for our 20 years, we didn't want it to be a celebration of what we did 20 years ago. We wanted it to be a celebration that, in our 20 years, aside from the fact that we did it with a fairly consistent lineup, we never took any breaks. In 20 years, I think the longest break we took was after the 2015 tour. We took 8 months off, which was sorely needed. Other than that, 8 months, we've never taken a break.
Right.
And we wanted to show that, this band 20 years later, we can still write good songs. And it was important to us to have something out. That's why it's a 6-song EP. It's half of an album. But what I really, really like about it is that 3 of the songs on the album were the last songs that we started with Jeff Snapshot. The other 3 songs is the stuff that we wrote once Marc rejoined. Mm-hmm. So it's a really good release for me, like, straddling the line between Jeff's last days and Marc rejoining.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess that just brings us to like present day.
Okay.
Like I said in the beginning of the show, you made your announcement and all that other stuff. Obviously, the future is unwritten.
Yeah.
But you guys have some shows lined up.
Yeah, we have April 27th at Amityville Music Hall, which is my last Long Island show.
The show will be out by then, so I mean, anyone listening.
That's my last. That's the last show I see myself playing for the. I've learned to never say never. So I can't say I'm never going to play in 2-Man again. I can't say I'm never going to play Long Island again. But as for the foreseeable future, yeah, this could be it. And then we're playing in Philadelphia on Cinco de Mayo, which is my Mexican day. Let's go, And then we do punk rock bowling in Las Vegas.
Huge.
Yeah.
Lineup.
It's we're on the Subhuman
Agnostic
show.
Blunt.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We're playing. We're not on the main stage with Rise Against and No Effects and Alkaline Trio and the Boss Tones.
It's way better for us what we're doing. Because
Absolutely,
if we were on the
we're a
main
club
stage,
band. We're a club band.
We would be playing at 2:00 in the afternoon in front of nobody.
Right, and then my makeup would be dripping inside my fucking eyes, and I can't see shit.
You know what it's like to wear a mask in 100-degree heat in that desert?
Yeah.
I've done that in Albuquerque.
Yeah,
it's not fun.
It's not fun. Your makeup dripping in your eyes. That shit burns. I don't give a fuck. It burns.
I'm sure. We're going to see Mayhem. They're going to do the same thing.
So they know. So then
They probably have the thermostat set to a certain temperature in the rider, so the corpse paint doesn't melt.
Yeah, after punk rock bowling, we're doing Phoenix, San Diego, Pomona, L.A., San Francisco.
Wow.
So I'm going to do a West Coast run. I'm going to finish up where I started, kind of.
That's awesome.
great.
What a story.
No, it's great.
Yeah.
This band has been nothing but great. Not more on a personal level. Maybe it's because I'm on the inside looking out, but I wouldn't want to be in a band with 4 other guys. It really is that simple.
The young Cali kid that came over.
Yeah.
Stayed for 26 years. Did so much fucking shit. You did more than most shitty Long Islanders.
Yeah.
Natives.
It's
So many random occurrences. Like you met the girl from West Babylon, ended up here, this band, 20, you know what I mean?
I tell you,
story,
every once in a while when I have to tell my life story, it's sometimes I look at the shit that I've done. I'm like, how the fuck did you do that? But I'm a persistent bastard. Ain't that right, Amber Quinn? She knows I'm a persistent fuck.
I know the story. The story's great.
Yeah,
so that'll be part two.
Yeah, Sam and Karen came over for dinner one time and
Steak burritos.
They got the deal. So, but I really appreciate this, Sam, and everybody.
We wanted to get you in before you left.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still going to be around for a couple of months, but as far as playing Long Island, I got one show left.
Yeah,
and it's a Friday night with Crazy in the Brains and Mary Todd and Sexual Suicide and Splatterhouse.
And through SBC, the company the collective that you started.
Yeah.
Because you figured it's something that you needed to do, right?
Yeah, I mean, I started the SBC almost 3 years ago.
And the acronym...
It stands for Something Better Change, which is a DOA record. But at the same time, when I came back to play after a 13-year break, actually 11-year break, people were... the pay to play and the selling tickets for shows. I'm like, that's not how this fucking shit is done. Art before profit. Fuck you. You want me to sell tickets? Stick them in your ass. You want me to fucking pay you to play the show? Shove that up your ass too. Not fucking happening. So I started doing shows by myself for like 6 months, and I realized that the game has changed. The game has changed so much since I did it the first time around. And I could not do it by myself. So I formed a collective, and I went to shows for like 6 months, and I said, okay, I like what this guy has to say. I like what this guy has to say. I like what she has to say. And I formed a collective. And the collective started out like 13 people, and I think now it's down to like 7. Only because it's hard to be in a collective because it's personality conflicts. Yeah. And not everybody sees eye to eye. But the crew that's there running things now with Paulie and Chloe and Brandon and Jesse and Chris and the other Jesse and Jackie on Flyers they're pretty tight. And I wish them well, and hopefully they follow my lead and can carry on, keeping things in an art before profit state.
I think it's in good hands, definitely.
I think so too. Paulie's awesome. Paulie took over. Paulie is the president now. I resigned in January, and but I'm still very supportive of everything they do, and I still promote their shows. And
absolutely,
I help out.
Seven people's a great amount.
Yeah. There's a lot of people on Long Island doing shows. Are they doing shows for the right reasons? I don't think so. I'm not going to knock anybody, but I know a lot of promoters that make people fucking sell tickets or pay to play, and that's fucking bullshit. To this day, I will not be a part of that in any way, shape, or form. DIY or die, man. That's me.
DIY or die.
It's probably that long-haired metal guy out there.
Yeah. He's still haunting
all
me.
That bank.
Yeah. You know what?
Fucking running.
That's right.
Some club.
Yeah.
Jeff and I are playing an acoustic show. You want to?
We are, yes. So what we're doing is with the punk rock bowling thing is Mark, Spag, Mike. These guys are all flying into Vegas, and they're flying home after San Francisco. Me, Rob, and Aaron are driving the van across country each way, and we decided, let's make this grueling drive a little bit more interesting. Aside from his songwriting contributions to Two Man, Rob has been writing songs more of a singer-songwriter, acoustic type, going back to well before Two Man ever started. Just songs not about hockey. Songs that are just not a fit, for what Two Man really does. Some of his singer-songwriter stuff did evolve into Two Man songs, but a lot of them just not. But he hasn't really had much of an avenue to, like, you've gone out, you've played acoustic gigs before, right? You opened for the Gin Blossoms at the Paramount, right, doing acoustic.
Did I? No, I think it was Creedence Revita. I don't know.
Well, you played the Paramount and you played the Bolton Center too.
The Bolton Center.
Yeah, but you've done these acoustic shows with just you.
Yeah,
as well as doing Playing Dead and
which
stuff
I
like
fucking
that.
hate doing, to be honest with you. But I feel like as a musician, when someone asks me to play acoustic, I should, even though I miss the band.
Yeah.
Because I have no faith in myself. So I'm just like, oh, maybe I'm just not good enough to do this. And sometimes I play and I feel good about myself, and sometimes I'm just like, I hear that mistake. So irrelevant to the story.
He has that's going to be your new thing, right? Have a little button. Yeah. Someone starts going off track, just hit the neon sign.
Yeah.
Relevant to the story. Rob has done very little of that. He's played a couple coffee house things, at a party with the fire, passing around the acoustic guitar kind of thing. But he has for a long time really wanted to do something, even if it's just recording with Aaron and I. It was my idea to. I said, hey, why don't we line up some gigs? And he always called it Robbie-itis because it's like when he was a little kid, he's like, oh, I got a case of Robbie-itis, So that's why it's called Robbie-itis. And so we are lining up these acoustic gigs to and from Vegas, so that the three of us can make it more interesting. Our warm up to get our feet wet is we set up this show with you. That we're going to do at Otto's Shrunken Head in the city on Thursday, May 3rd. And it's going to be, we're going to open the show, and we'll play a couple of two-man songs too, but it's going to be mostly Rob's originals. You're playing, obviously. This guy Nick Ferrero is coming down from New Hampshire. I met Nick because he played in the Hudson Falcons, and Aaron and I both occasionally play in the Hudson Falcons, and he's a great kid, a little bit younger, so he's coming down. And then Mark Linsky, who is the Hudson Falcons, is going to headline the show. So it's going to be an acoustic show, but it's going to be great. It's going to be rocking.
Cool. Definitely. Can't wait. Before we get into our live shows, what we're going to do is I asked our two guests to just name, because I like influences. I like to know what made a person the person that they are today. So we asked Marc and Jeff to give us 5 albums and 5 movies that have made them who they are today. So Marc, if you can just give me your number 5 album.
Okay, well, I did my albums a little bit different because I'm an old bastard, and I have my favorite record of 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, and 2010.
Go ahead.
So my favorite record of the 70s is Kiss Alive, the first
nice.
one. My favorite record of the 80s
I don't want to miss a word.
Is TSOL Dance With Me.
Okay. Which you're wearing a shirt?
Oh, which one I'm wearing the shirt. And if you notice, that guy right there is also
Sweet.
Right there.
There you go.
Right,
and
so
we just saw TSOL together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At Mulcahy's. My favorite record of the 90s is The Refused, Shape of To Come.
That was a game changer.
Oh,
yeah.
Masterpiece.
Blew my mind.
Masterpiece. 2000s, Lamb of God, Sacrament.
Oh, get out of here.
See, it's a little curveball for
I
you.
think
That
so.
record to me is just amazing.
Yeah.
And this decade is the last Descendants record, which to me is just, I just love that record.
Well, the thing with that record, I don't remember. It's like Spaz.
Hypercaphium Spazonate or something like that.
I remember listening to that record and thinking somehow this band still captured what it's like. This record could have come out like 25 years ago.
Yes.
It sounds exactly like vintage fucking
Descendants,
which is one of my favorite bands ever. Like they influenced like my songwriting, and they were a punk band that I actually liked. And just the songwriting, like as simple as some of those songs seem, try to fucking learn some of those songs.
Yeah, try to play that shit.
Bass line.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah, it's really,
he can do it. I can't. I can't do it.
My age is one of my bass warm up things. Okay, because it's a great finger exercise. But yeah, no, I hear you.
Mine is 100,000 years by Kiss.
The thing about that Descendants album, though, is that you're right musically, but lyrically, there's an acknowledgement of their age.
Okay.
Which their younger was about farting or whatever. And there is a maturity in their lyrics, which I really love. I love that they acknowledge, hey, we're not those 18-year-old kids anymore.
Yeah.
But farts are still funny.
Yeah. I mean, sure.
Yeah.
But only if you use the term beef.
Yeah.
So, beefing.
I also did my list.
Yeah, Jeff.
I did my list also a little bit differently because if saying 5 favorite albums or something is impossible. If I came and did this podcast with you every week for the next year, my 5 lists would be different every week. And I wanted to give something that would be consistent no matter when I did it. So this is how I thought about it. I thought about it as a long hallway with doors, like a railroad apartment, and every room is kind of that next thing that you discover in your life and you love.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And so what's in the room, what the doorway that leads to the room may not be your favorite thing. Maybe something that's in the room you like a lot better. But I wanted to give you those albums that for me were those doorways.
Absolutely.
The thing that changed everything. So these aren't necessarily my favorite albums, but they're the albums that took me to that next road.
I feel you.
So the first record is the Jesus Christ Superstar soundtrack. The original one with Ian Gillan as Jesus Christ, Murray Head as Judas Iscariot, Von Elliman as Mary Magdalene. This side, I'm an only child.
It's heavy, man.
I know every inch of that. I'm an only child. I was 7 years old when MTV came on. I musically matured much faster than by the time I was done with elementary school, I already had Black Sabbath, Rush albums, and people were still listening to Madonna. But Jesus Christ Superstar, I pulled off my parents' shelf when I was about 5, and it was the first adult music. Wasn't like the Sesame Street music that you're listening to. So that was very important to me. I still love it to this day. Andy from Kill Your Idols also loves that record, and we talked about it a lot.
Ian Gillan's killer.
He's one of my he's my favorite singer of all time.
All right, so it's you, Andy, and your parents.
It is.
Got it.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So after Jesus Christ Superstar, through like elementary school, I was really into Hall & Oates. But the first thing that took me into sort of the hard rock metal world was my cousins giving me a cassette of Rush Exit Stage Left, the live album that came out around 80 after Moving Pictures came out. So that was kind of my first introduction to like heavier music, more progressive music. So to me, that room has the Black Sabbath and Slayer things, but that was my introduction from Hall & Oates to that.
Yeah.
The door into the punk rock world was Black Flag's Family Man, which is a really weird album.
I love that.
Yeah.
I actually have it signed by Rollins.
Really?
That was the one thing I wanted signed.
It's my
That's
favorite
awesome.
album cover. I had it on a shirt because it's brutal.
I have it hanging up in my office.
Yeah.
Which is kind of fucked up.
It's
Because
really-
I'm married with a kid.
Did you see
I'm
the
like,
parody?
I'm like, wow.
Did you see the parody with that someone did with someone did a parody of it with the King of the Hill family?
Oh,
and
that's
he's
great.
like, and they're all dead. Yeah.
That's weird because I am, to me, Black Flag is without Henry. And I know a lot of people argue with me, but
No, I'm with you.
it's-
I'm a Keith Morris guy.
It's
I'm a
different.
Rollins. I'm a Rollins.
I love
guy.
Oh, really?
Jealous, Jealous
Rollins-
Again to me is my favorite release by Black Flag. Jealous
Rollins
Again is
gave
amazing.
Black Flag an emotional, dark depth that did not exist before him, and I love that for it.
I get that.
But I
Respect Henry.
used
Don't
to
get me wrong.
I used to
It's
bike
not
up
my-
to a record store, spend my allowance money on metal records. They had a My War T-shirt, and as a 13-year-old kid, seeing that image of the puppet, the smiling puppet with a knife, I needed that. And the guy said, "I don't know if you're going to like this. I'll give you your money back in a week if you don't like it." I had no idea it was punk, nothing. I loved it.
Was that
and
whole
that was it.
Raymond?
Raymond Pettibone?
Pettibone,
Yeah.
yeah.
Greg
Which
Ginn's
is
brother.
Greg Ginn's
His
brother,
yeah.
So good.
And they're totally estranged now. They hate each
I
other.
think like the debate about the Black Flag singers is like the punk equivalent of Hagar versus Roth. Very contested. A lot of people have.
Yeah, I don't listen to Van Halen without David Lee Roth. I can't.
So.
Jeff likes Gary Sharon.
After
boy.
listen, I love the early Black Flag stuff, and but the myth that Rollins ruined Black Flag is
No,
total
I didn't
bullshit.
say
Total
Rollins
bullshit.
ruined Black Flag. That's not what I said. I
A lot
said
of people-
I
I feel you,
prefer
though. A lot of people
the
say that
pre-Rollins
shit, yeah.
Black Flag.
Yep.
I prefer that.
Okay.
You're insulted.
After that, I'm going to go with
Fuck
the first.
you, I was there.
Can I tell you, if I had a dime for every time he told people that I saw Black Flag with all four singers, I've been listening to this shit for 20 years.
It was L.A. 1980.
Yeah, man.
It's annoying. All right. So, anyway, the next door would be the first Residents album, Meet the Residents, which was my first exposure to sort of more avant-garde, experimental music.
Never even heard
Total
of
weirdo. It's a mindfuck of an album. The Residents are like a magic eye painting. When you first look at it, it makes no sense, but the more you look at it, things begin to come out, and you're like, how the hell did they even do this? Like,
He's a
especially
deep
in time
guy.
before.
He's a very
Are you
deep
kidding
and
me?
intelligent dude.
I follow this guy on Facebook.
In a-
I know.
in a-
I've never
I mean,
seen somebody more long-winded on Facebook.
Listen
Yeah.
to Meet the Residents, though, and imagine actually trying to do what they did without any computer technology at all. Like literally just cutting up tapes and it's incredible. And finally, the last one was an album that's only about 10 years old, and that's King Crimson, Lark's Tongues, and Aspic. And that, it's very hard to recapture that, like, that when you're young and you're getting into something new, that is so exciting, right? That feeling. And you lose that as you get older. You may, we're all similar age here, and if you give us a new record now, you're like, oh, this is awesome. But you never get that feeling back.
Absolutely.
King Crimson, in my 30s, proved me wrong. I'd always been aware of them, but for some reason, I decided to dive headfirst in their catalog. And Lark's Tongues, I mean, really all the albums, but Lark's Tongues was my choice, was like, it gave me that sense of like, oh my God, like this is completely turning my head around. So those are my 5.
Awesome. Very
Excellent.
interesting. Yeah, that's a great list. And then we're gonna talk movies real quick. Like just in your life, man. Mark Lopez. Tell me.
My top 5
just,
movies.
Just like 5 movies that you. They don't even have to be your top 5. Just 5 movies that you want to acknowledge that you just adore.
Well, The Usual Suspects
okay.
is my favorite movie
Absolutely.
of all time.
He'll flip you.
That's flip you for real.
Yeah.
Can you hear me in the back?
Yeah.
True Romance.
You're killing it. Yeah, that's another one.
It's just just so raw and just
Even
so.
just Gary Oldman was in it for like we were talking about, right? Like
Yeah.
5 minutes or
Yeah,
something,
yeah.
and he just like.
I think Samuel L. Jackson was in it for even less.
Yeah, if you watch that movie from start to finish and just write down every actor you see, you'll be like, holy
I think James
shit.
Gandolfini's in it just for a little
Brad
bit.
Pitt.
The script, the
Bronson
dialogue.
Pinchot.
Yeah, Tarantino.
Val
wrote
Kilmer
that.
as Elvis.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's great stuff.
The Exorcist.
Okay.
The Exorcist was the first movie. I think I was like 8 years old when it came out, and it scared the living shit out of me. And I'll never forget that first time where a movie just makes you just shit your pants.
Okay, no, that's a good point. So when you watch it, do you still get that feeling?
Yes.
Because
Yes.
it's funny, you associate, like, when I still watch Halloween, the original, that movie scared the shit out of me.
Right.
If I were to watch it for the first time at my age now, I don't think it would make it, like, I'd just be like, oh, whatever. But being that I associate, like, I don't know, there's something that happens internally when I watch that original Halloween and, like, the music and you see the mask, and it's like, if I'm watching it, like, alone at night, I'm like...
You got to turn the fucking light on, huh?
Well, I don't turn the light on because I'm a man, but I'm just saying, like, you know, if I could reach the light, maybe.
Yeah.
But it just like, it brings it back. It's
Yeah,
great. It's
yeah.
a great feeling. I love
Yeah.
it. So.
Animal House.
Yes.
Jesus.
Animal House. It's that, to me, if I had to sum up my Navy years, watch Animal House.
Yeah.
I did 8 years of the Navy, and that's what I fucking did every day.
0.0?
That's a perfect comedy. that movie.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And if I'd be a bad LA boy if I didn't say The Decline of Western Civilization.
Nice.
I have to say that.
I'm happy to say I own 5 out of 5 out of Mark's list.
Nice. Over there.
And they're all alphabetized. So if you want to borrow any, help
Nice.
yourself.
What was it like to, you know, as a Cali guy to see that for the first time?
Well, I remember the first time I saw it was at the Midnight Movies in, I think it was Fullerton in Orange County. And they had it up against the Rocky Horror Picture Show, and they were both playing at the same time. And that time we didn't get along too well with that crowd. And I watched The Decline, and we were all like, fuck yeah, Fear, Black Flag. Oh, yeah, I was at that show. Oh, look, there's me right there. You know, all my friends were there. And
Wait, you were at the Black Flag show?
yeah, a couple of them.
He was there, man.
We come out of the movies at the same time as like the Rocky Horror people were coming out, and they would look at us, and we'd look at them, and we fight every show, every fucking time. And I don't know why they kept doing it. Like, all right, do it one weekend with and one weekend without. But
I don't want to generalize the
it was
Rocky
weird.
Horror,
It was a
but
weird time.
Put my money on you guys.
Yeah, we didn't lose too much.
All right. Jeff, give us 5.
My list, I'm going to come off like a total pretentious asshole right now after that
Again?
list of movies.
Good luck, Jeff.
Listen, you invited me on. You knew it. We're friends on Facebook. You know exactly what you're getting into. I don't want to hear this shit.
Ingmar Bergman
Oh, he's
catalog.
he's so long-winded. I know that because, and I know this because I've read every single word he wrote. Number 1.
So I'm not going to own any of these, you're saying?
You probably
Maybe so.
Tartovsky.
And if not, you should.
Fellini, 8.5.
No, there's no Fellini. There's no Fellini.
Ishtar? Xanadu?
No, I did everything I could. I really wanted to put a Werner Herzog film on, and I have one as a notable, but I'm not going to.
Let's do it.
Number
Yeah,
1,
no-
Clash of the
nothing wrong with
Titans from
Werner.
1981.
It's a good start.
Amazing
It's in the
special
C-section.
effects and all that stuff.
Medusa used to creep me out as a
Yeah.
kid.
Oh my
That
god,
scene
that whole
fucked me
movie
up.
is
Also,
amazing.
the witch scene, too.
Oh,
That
the
was-
blind witches.
Witch and
Oh.
the
Kraken,
Reaper
it's all
guy, the
great.
boat
Yeah.
dude.
It's
Fucking
it's all
sounds
great.
scary.
Even the boat scene.
The Karen, everything about that
Fuck
movie.
that
I
little
love.
owl though.
Yeah, fucking
I
asshole.
refuse to see the remake. I will never watch the remake.
I didn't even know
Good
that.
choice.
They
It's
did.
horrible.
Number 2, I love old silent films. Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, a German film from 1920.
Where is that? Which
I forgot
arm?
what arm I
I think
have
it's
it
on your penis.
Really?
Yeah. Just saw it at Cinema Arts Center with live accompaniment, which was awesome. Number 3, Bad Lieutenant. Oh, the original one. Watching that in the movie theater when that movie ends. I don't know if you recall that movie ends.
Yeah.
It ends with him being. Am I spoiling? No, that's not how the movie ends. Am I allowed to spoil movies on?
Yeah,
this thing?
go ahead.
Where he gets
Everyone
shot
should've saw
dead.
that movie.
He got shot dead in the car, and then the screen immediately turns white with no sound.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Sitting in a movie theater, I remember watching it. Sitting in a movie theater with after that happens, and the whole theater is silent and bright.
Yeah.
Was quite
Great movie.
Quite a cool
Abel
experience.
Ferrara. just like fucking
Yeah.
brilliant.
When
New
he
York
hits,
City.
he's hit and miss for me.
course.
But when he
That movie was
hits,
perfect.
he's fucking
and I love the
great.
background
One
of the Mets Dodgers NL Championship Series going on in the background.
Yes.
Like that's a thread through the entire movie.
Yeah.
It's great.
I have
I
to
love it.
watch that movie.
Also,
It's been a
Schoolie
while.
D rapping over Kashmir. But go ahead.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah, it's great.
Before Puffy.
Next, Seven Samurai.
Okay.
Kurosawa, the 50s. That's a great one. And the last one is a little off from what you guys, but Harold and Maude from 71
That's
with
a
Ruth
great
Gordon.
movie.
Yeah.
That movie is it's a little ham-fisted at times with its philosophy, but it's hysterically funny.
I love Ruth
Absurdly
Gordon.
funny. And the best soundtrack ever. Cat Stevens all over that soundtrack. And the best opening credit sequence of any movie I've ever seen.
I don't think I remember
I
this.
don't remember the credit.
Yeah.
Oh, go see it again. It's
it's
just
been-
watch
it
it up until the end of the
It has
opening
been a
credits.
while. You got
It's in
the
the
Oh,
age
you'll
section.
remember.
1 out of 5 on that. Came in strong with Clash of the Titans.
That was it. I was done. I
I
was done
butted
after
you
that.
up. I butted you up.
All right, cool. So that's what makes these people them, and I like
Beauty.
to
I was
hear
hoping
that.
Human Centipede was going to be in there, Jeff, but maybe next time.
I'm going to.
Number 6.
Listen, I just saw the Corpse Grinders. Okay,
Nice,
I watched
okay.
that shit too.
Oh, yeah.
Written by Bryan Cranston's father, by the way.
Really?
Yes.
Fun fact.
So we're gonna do our 5 favorite live performances.
Good. My number 5 is The Cure on the Wish tour. What was that, 92, 93?
92.
Yeah. I had gotten into The Cure in between Disintegration and Wish, so I hadn't got to see them live yet. They became one of my favorite bands, so when they came around the Nassau Coliseum, I saw them. The set list was amazing. They played like 3 hours. The lighting, that's my last favorite Cure album, really. I never got into the stuff afterwards, so that was the pinnacle, and they were great. They sounded so good on that tour. That lineup of The Cure, too, is my favorite. I mean, they've gone through a million people, but with Gallup, Pearl Thompson, Boris Williams on drums and stuff, but
Oh, we get it. You like the
The
Cure.
Cure. I like The Cure, guys.
Nice. Number 5, Mark.
This is a particular show in 19, I think it was 81 or 82, was Black Flag with Fear, the Blasters, Suburban Lawns, and Sacker and Trust. And I was at the Olympic in L.A. And it was such a diverse crowd. All those, Fear and Black Flag, they go hand in hand, but
Of course.
the other 3 don't. And it was just such a great vibe. And it was probably, at the time, the L.A. shows were very violent. This one was not that bad, and it just kind of opened my eyes. Like, you know what? I think that was the first time I saw a show where not every band had to sound the same, and that still is with me to this day. I don't want to. If I book a show, I want 5 bands that sound different. Give me something. I don't want 5 bands that sound the same. Unfortunately, that's not what I guess some of these kids like to see. But that was it for me.
I like it. Number 5, 1981.
If every one of your shows is a Black Flag show, I'm going to punch you in the arm.
No, my next one isn't.
1982.
So, well, you had wanted me to tell a Cheap Trick story, but that's actually not on my list. But if you want me to tell it, I could give it to you after the list.
Okay.
Because it's a good concert story.
Okay.
I kind of went through this the same way I went through the albums, sort of like in order of my life. Number 1 would be Pink Floyd at the Nassau Coliseum,
Well, yeah,
August
let's
of
do 5.
1988.
Let's do. Oh, okay. So you're doing.
Like sort of just through my life, like.
Go ahead. Yeah,
you know.
that's good.
So
the
yeah,
first
Pink
one,
Floyd at the
basically.
Coliseum, August 1988. First concert I ever actually wanted to go to. My cousin took me, sat in the last row, watched through a cloud of pot smoke.
Nice.
Loved it. It was the run of dates that they did the Delicate Sound of Thunder live album for, and all those
that's
videos you
right.
saw on MTV.
Yeah.
And I remember a sign saying, this is being videotaped, by entry upon these premises. You give permit,
Yeah.
It was one of those
Your
signs.
ugly
So,
likeness in a filthy
and I
motion
fucking
picture.
hate that album. I mean, I love Floyd, but Momentary
Yeah, yeah.
that album
Momentary
sucks.
Lapse,
That album sucks. I fucking hate that album. But I love the band and memorable, yeah.
That was actually probably the second record that I heard because I was like 10.
Floyd?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It blows. As a Pink Floyd lover,
It was
that
all
album
over the
sucks.
radio when it came out.
Yeah.
That Learning to Fly.
Learning
There's
to
a
Fly,
couple
yeah.
Ugh.
I hear
I
you.
that song itself.
I do like that song.
Number 5. Are you doing old Deja?
Fuck yeah. As a fucking homage to our buddy Mark, I got my top 5 Deja shows. So here we go.
Oh my God!
So number 5 was the opening band was this band called Knives and Greenwater, which funny enough I now play with Cameron and Andrew, who were both in that band, and actually Daraja that played drums later went on to Glassjaw and Saves the Day and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Last Crime actually went on second. I can't even really describe them. You just kind of had to have seen that band
Incredible.
live. Yeah,
And I'm in a band with Eric.
Okay.
Right.
Motive went on next, and this was after they broke Edge and everybody hated them and blah blah blah. But they fucking killed it.
Yeah.
They killed it. And
great.
I remember Ryan from Motive started playing this really beat up looking guitar, and I'm like, what the fuck is he doing with that guitar? He's never really used it. And I remember he literally at the end of the set took out a fucking axe and chopped the guitar like in half, and then threw the guitar into Pete Motive's bass drum and literally said like, beat that Coalesce.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Coalesce headlines, if you know nothing about Coalesce, it is literally just like live brutality.
Yeah.
Like, if you're in the crowd, you will get hurt. They will find you. They will beat the shit out of you. The guitarist literally at the end was, both hands were bleeding. He doesn't even use picks. It's just, the most insane thing that Dillinger's escape plan could never do.
Right.
That's the best thing that I can say.
Wow.
I feel like
Yeah.
Shots fired.
that was a rare, if I'm not mistaken, that was a rare weeknight show.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Too.
Yeah. This might have been like a Tuesday or a Wednesday. So, but yeah.
But they were on the road, and that's why we
Yes.
opened
Yeah.
up the doors for that.
Yeah.
My number 5 happens to be 2004 Curiosa. Never heard. I mean, I heard of the band, but I never saw them live, and I was gonna go get my seat. My spot over before the Cure played, and this dude was like, "Oh shit, Muse is playing the second stage," and I was
love
like,
that band.
"Oh." I'm like, "Really? The band from K-Rock that has this one song?" They're like, "Yo, stand here," and they're gonna fucking drop your fucking jaw. And they did. They came out as a 3-piece, and they probably stole a show. They murdered, and this was just a great festival with so many great bands like Interpol, The Cure, fucking Thursday played. A lot of bands played, and no one. I've just never seen anything almost like that Muse fucking set, and I've been a fan ever since.
Yeah. I'm a huge Muse fan. I was a little late to the party for them.
Me too.
But I saw them like 5 times in successive tours, and saw how that band matured. And you can say Rush is, as far as virtuosos go, 3 guys. Muse is right behind them.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Insane musicianship.
Yeah, for another 3-piece. So
Right.
Langen, number 4.
My number 4 is when I went to Binghamton, like 94, 95, around then. We had the homecoming there for the, I don't know, whatever sports ball team was playing. So
Game time
yeah,
thing,
I
go.
have no idea, but Cypress Hill, Funk Dubious, and House of Pain played
Nice.
the homecoming. And at that time, 93, I mean, they were hitting.
That was
They were all over.
Yeah.
Those 3 together. It was in the gymnasium. The whole fucking place was like, you could barely see them smoke that. But it was such a fun party atmosphere, and it was such a great time to see just,
Yeah, they
the
were
mug
the-
sound one after another. you
They
know.
were at the height. I mean,
Yeah.
the fact that like Funk Dubious was even, like they had that one good year,
Yeah.
and then Son Doobie decided to make porno movies. So shout out to him for that.
Yeah, and I love that band too. But
Yeah.
man, what a lineup!
That
It's
was the
great.
shit.
Yeah.
Mark,
Number
your next
4.
one.
Number 4. 1982 Hollywood Palladium, with no Black Flag this time.
Yeah.
TSOL, Adolescence, Social Distortion, Wasted Youth, Youth Brigade, The Blades, and AKA.
Wow.
That was a 7-band bloodfest. I mean, just fucking fight after fight after fight, including me getting clocked in the eye because guys doing chicken fights. And a guy came up, and I had the biggest shiner in the history of fucking shiners. And I had to go home and explain to Dad how I got that. See, no, Dad, the punk rock shows are safe. There's no problems.
Yeah.
Yeah, right, buddy.
I fell down the stairs.
Yeah. I tripped. But yeah, I got nailed. But the show was phenomenal, and that's a lineup that is just legendary. That's a sick fucking lineup.
Absolutely.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, first punk show I ever went to, December 20th, 91 at the Marquee, Bad Religion and the Vandals.
Nice,
Entry
nice.
into a whole new world, man. A whole new world.
It just changes your life. I mean, punk rock and hardcore as well, if you let it grab you, it doesn't let go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's
It
just
doesn't let go.
Different, and that was probably what the Generator tour.
It was right before Generator was released. The last album they had put out was Against the Grain.
Against the Grain, okay,
But
that's right.
they opened the set with the song Generator.
Okay.
And Generator came out a few months later.
And that's around the time that I started listening to them. And it was actually Recipe that got me into them, and then I kind of went backwards and stuff. And for me, they have that Against the Grain, Generator, and Recipe for Hate were like the three that I'll always listen to.
For me, it's Suffer No Control Against the Grain. But I love those. I love every Bad Religion album.
Yeah. All right. Parker, next Deja-one.
Back to Deja-one. We got Tension, Shutdown, Indecision. I think that there was probably, 600 people at that show, I think?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. If I remember correctly, that was the show directly after the Bouncing Soul show.
Might have been, yeah.
And at the Bouncing Soul show, I was passing out flyers
Yeah.
for that. And a whole bunch of ska kids came
Yeah.
to that, and they're looking at me like, what the fuck is this?
I mean, luckily, Andrew, my second guitarist, had before he was in the band, he had a distro with his wife. So we snuck behind before Tension went on, thank God, because the place, when they started, just fucking started killing each other. And this was just when Shutdown signed into Victory, so they just kind of got And Indecision was always fucking huge. So,
Indecision
but that was a great fucking show.
Absolutely.
So
I remember that one.
yeah.
Shout out to Joe Rubino.
Yep.
Yeah,
past
man.
guest.
Cutting my hair tomorrow.
I
Nice.
took my kid there for a haircut.
Yeah, I saw that.
I think Tension might actually have the record of playing Deja-one the most times. Is that right? Tension or Motive?
Indecision,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's one of good.
I think it's one of those three.
Yeah, you're probably right.
And another Scandoto brother. right
Yes.
there.
Yep.
Mark.
So-
Yeah.
Yep.
So for me, I'm gonna go with probably like the first local show that I saw after I got home from rehab. I was away for like a few years.
Yeah.
So I went to the swing set, and it was the headliner because I loved VOD. So it was VOD, Silent Majority, Tension. I don't know who else played, but those were the last three. And it was the first time that I actually really saw like something on a local level.
Yeah.
Maybe not the first time I saw it, but the first time I actually like it clicked, and I was like, oh shit! I'm like, this is what's happening.
Yeah, we were lucky enough to play there a couple of times. We played the swing set with Anti-Flag, and we played with Bouncing Souls.
Well, that was the same show, but we also played there with the Ludachicks.
Right, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, that was a great place. So
It was after my youngest son was born. He was born on February 18th. I think, if I remember correctly, that was February 19th, and I had a box of cigars, and I was passing them out to the kids in line.
oh, that's funny. Yeah.
Here, you cannot have to buy this, but here, go ahead and smoke one. What was I thinking?
I just remember, actually, Doc put the whole show up on YouTube as well. But I remember just being somewhere in the middle of the crowd, and then once Tension started playing, the whole place erupted into a pit. Like it was the whole place.
Sounds about right.
I was like, oh, let them go nuts over here in the front. Once they started playing, like the whole venue just erupted. So good times. Langan.
All right. I got Slayer on the South of Heaven tour.
There
that was
we
the
go.
first time I saw them. I got into thrash through Metallica, Megadeth, and Slayer, so it was a big deal for me. Rain and Blood sold me. It's one of my favorite records of all time, so finally getting to see them on that tour, which was a different sound for them. But, man, I never seen violence like that on like such a scale. What was that, in like 10th grade probably or some shit? But we were on the next level up at the Coliseum, and just the second they started playing, every fucking seat, whatever the fuck, just flew in the air.
Yeah.
The whole floor was just spinning in a pit. There was fucking blood everywhere. Like everywhere. I walked outside to like get a pretzel or some shit and take a piss, and there's blood all over the bathroom. There was people on stretchers.
Blood on the pretzels.
It's crazy.
My friend, like, I never seen, like, I took him to the show. He was older than me, so he was like my chaperone, dude. And my parents were like, whatever. He's like, what the fuck, dude? This is like, and I'm like, watch this. The guy gets, he's on the back of a stretcher. He's got his head wrap. I'm like, Slayer. He's like, ah. I'm like, it's that easy. But it was so great for me. It was just amazing. I'll never forget it.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Mark?
1982. I remember this was at the Galaxy. It was a roller rink in Fullerton. And it was Social Distortion, Circle Jerks, Suicidal Tendencies, and Sin 34, I believe, opened up. And it was the first punk rock show I took Amber to. And that's the girl I'm with today.
Yeah, that's
and,
awesome.
And it's the first show I took her to.
Yeah.
And I remember my dad packing his friggin' station wagon with like 18 punk rockers in it and dropped us off, picked us up. Hey, what the fuck is better than that?
1982, Social D and
Circle
fucking
Jerks,
Suicidal.
Yeah. It was a good show too. It was a lot of fun.
That's history. Love it.
March 6, 1992, my first ABC No Rio show. And that was Sedition, which was a band that evolved into Discordance Axis. Merrill, who were a great band that put a record out on Gurn Blanston. Rorschach, and Assuck. And that was important because, like, the Marquee was my first punk show, clearly not an arena, but also still, like, a business with a bar and people. ABC No Rio was, like, my first truly, like, DIY underground show. And I was a mainstay at ABC, you know, through the 90s. I was there all the time, so that was a big one.
Awesome. Parker.
Number 3. This is kind of special now with everything that happened 2 days ago with this guy passing away. But first time I saw Cave-In was at Deja-one, and I heard about this band from Massachusetts that they were a metal band, but they incorporated, like, you know, screaming and singing, which is nothing that I had never heard before. And so Chris, actually, my singer, picked me up, and they were on tour with Piebald at the time. I think the Piebald Cave-In split had just come out, and they played as a 5-piece with the original singer, and they just fucking blew my mind. I had never seen anything like it before. I do like how it says Last Crime Maybe on that flyer. That's pretty funny. I don't know if they showed up for that. But Cave-In played, Motive played, this band La Magna, who never really got the credit that they fucking deserved.
Awesome.
Yeah,
It's got Steve Driscoll from Scapegrace was in that band.
Steve Scapegrace, yeah.
Love that band.
First time I saw Cave-In, Mark.
With Piebald, right?
Yes,
yeah,
at
they
Deja.
They came down together.
The bass player actually filled in for Cave-In
Another
at
time.
that. But that's my number 3. First time I saw Cave-In, I was blown away, and I've been hooked ever since.
Yeah, man. Rest in peace. That's pretty tragic.
Yeah, Caleb, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. My number 3 is kind of this weird show that happened at St. Vitus, and it was with Sam I Am, and they played right after Hurricane Sandy. And I remember we had tickets, and I think I had like 5 tickets. So I saved all my gas because there was no gas to be had because I had these tickets, and I was like, no matter what happens, we're going to go see this show because there was no electricity. There was nothing. We were just hanging out, and we were waiting for something to do. This show happened. They almost didn't make it to the show. I think there was maybe 30 people that actually did make it to St. Vitus. It's kind of a shit show. Jason lost his voice, but me and some girl helped him sing these songs to the dismay, I'm sure, of many people that made it to the show.
and just for the record, just so you know, I tried to get you on that Sam I Am show when they came.
Which one?
To Long Island last time they were here, and they just didn't want to do a 5-band bill.
Okay.
I tried, dude.
Oh, man. Thank you.
I tried.
Awesome.
I tried.
You know how I love me some Sam.
I know, and I tried, and it just wasn't.
It's too bad they barely play anything from those early albums, though. I love all the Sam I Am records, but man,
yes,
those
we had
first,
this discussion.
Yeah, they
because
played
you made me the
one
playlist.
song from those. Right, I played you a playlist. I made you a mixtape.
Yes, you did.
Nice.
For those. Did you like it? Did you like
Yes.
those early stuff? Yeah.
I regardless, as long as Jason just always had that voice, he always has those great melodies. The production was just different, But yeah, anything that they do. So I really enjoyed that playlist. Astray's still my favorite, but they still made 2 records. Their last 2 records are great, and they still do their thing. But man, to see them after Hurricane Sandy, it was, and to this day, they still cite that show. Whenever I see them, I bring it up, and they're like, "Oof, that show, fucking terrible." So, but anyway, Langan.
My number 2 is Portishead at the Hammerstein in '97.
Game changer.
It was. I was interning, a young Langan was interning at Island Records, and London Records was the floor below us. And a lot of times you just swap tickets or promos with other labels on the, in the building and stuff like that. And I got tickets for that show, 2 tickets, and they were fucking amazing. And,
they're a game changer band for me.
And I wish they'd work more. It drives me crazy.
They made 2 great records and then 1 shitty record 13 years later.
And even that one I went back to listen to, and I liked a little more of it than I initially was against, because it was such a different sound, you know what I mean? But this was the height of Portishead powers for me, and they were just amazing. And Beth Gibbons' voice is fucking one of my favorite singers, period.
Absolutely.
So, and it was amazing. Great show.
Like it.
Yeah.
Number 2?
Number 2 for me would be the '97 Warped Tour, which had Social D and Blink, Pennywise, Descendants, Sick of It All, Murder City Devils. The lineup was great, but the most important thing for me at that show was that was the first time I took my kids to a big old fucking punk rock show. You know, they're used to Dr. Shays or Deja, but this was the first time that I took them to a big ass show, and I have my backstage pass, and I'm taking my kids. They only let me take my kids one at a time. You're gonna go meet the guys in Pennywise. You're gonna meet the guys in Descendants, and I get back to the Pennywise camp.
Who was more excited, them or you? No, I'm just kidding.
I'm just you know what? At the time, them. At the time,
really?
Now, no, me. But but at the time, they were really into it. And
Very cool.
And I got to the Pennywise bus, and they weren't there. So I said, "Oh no!" Somebody said, "Oh yeah, they're out in the crowd, mingling." So I was like, "Motherfucker," because my youngest son Matt, who's my middle son Matt, he was actually my youngest at the time. That saw Judas when he was 7, he loved Pennywise. That was his band. He was so into it. And then, so I left my 2 kids and my girlfriend at the time behind the gate, and I took Matt backstage to meet Pennywise. They weren't there. I walked back out. He's all disappointed and shit. Where's Pennywise? They're hanging out with my other 2 kids and my girlfriend. They're standing right there. He's like, where were you? I'm like, where were you? Anyway, my kids got to meet all the guys, and
That's awesome.
Very cool.
that meant a lot to them.
Awesome. Who's fucking phones right now?
That was me.
Oh, is it? Okay. Jeff.
Okay, so the CMJ Amphetamine Reptile Records Showcase, October 30th, 92 at the Ritz. Was obsessed with amphetamine. I still am, but obsessed with them. So to see this collection of bands together, it was Hammerhead, Cosmic Psychos from Australia, Surgery, The Cows, who turned out one of my favorite bands of all time, the Melvins, and Helmet headlined. But what was funny is they had already signed to Atlantic Records, so they were advertised as Metal Hat. But that didn't fool anybody.
Would have fooled me, to be honest with you. Metal Hat. Awesome. CMJ. Do they even do CMJ anymore?
I'm not sure if they do. I went to very few of them, but that one I wasn't passing up.
That was a shit. Parker, what else do we have from Deja-one?
Number 2, the Sky Came Falling record release. I remember this, holy shit, like it was yesterday. So we were on a Belgium label, and the full length was done, but we didn't have any copies. And I was like, well, how the fuck are we going to do a record release without any fucking records? How does this work? So we literally got 25 CDs that day. That's all that we fucking had. So the doors opened. I don't even think we had T-shirts for this. I think we just had CDs, and we were so fucking thrilled because we sold out of 25 CDs before the first band went on. But we had nothing else to fucking sell or whatever.
Yeah.
So this was like a TVT and Building was kind of promoting this because Day in the Life headlined.
I know this show like the back of my
Yeah,
hand.
and Dave for Honey also played.
Yes.
And I remember, the thing was we're going to give like I think it was like free T-shirts to like the first 30 kids or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was psyched because we were going to play with Glassjaw.
Glassjaw too.
I think the first time we were going to play with them. And Daryl wound up getting sick.
That's right.
Yeah.
Because Don Fury came up to me.
Yes.
And asked. He was asking me a lot of questions about Glassjaw. And I said, "This fucking band's great." Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
He knew all about him, but he wanted to come see him, and I connected the dots there.
Yeah.
But when Daryl couldn't play, he got sick.
Yeah. And then they dropped off.
And I still paid those kids, and
Really?
and they looked at me like, "What?" I'm like, "Go to the fucking diner on me."
There you go.
You know, it's like. Why not?
And Day in the Life, I mean, us being, big Mind Over Matter fans,
Yeah,
I mean, they fucking killed it. I mean, they didn't play Long Island that much, but when they did, they just fucking killed it.
Yeah, they were great.
And I remember when we were leaving, Don Fury actually stopped us. And he was just like, I caught some of your set. I really liked it. Give me a CD. And I was just like, I'd love to, bro, but we fucking sold out of them. He's just like, but I'm Don Fury. And I'm just like, well, I ain't a fucking magician, man. I can't fucking pull one out of my ass. So
Freudian slip.
Yeah.
So,
All right. My number 2 will be a New Year's Eve show that I saw, which blew my fucking mind. 2005, Madison Square Garden, Wilco, Flaming Lips, Slater Kenny. I didn't know what to expect going to a New Year's Eve show. And, man, Slater Kenny murdered. Love that band. Very, I think, underappreciated later on in life. Flaming Lips, tame because it wasn't their headlining show, but when Wilco played, like the balloons dropped at midnight, and then at midnight they turned into a cover band. So the first song they played was Judas Priest's "Living After Midnight" or some shit.
That would make sense.
That would make sense.
I get it.
You get it, right? Balloons dropped. Man, it was great. It was just a complete celebration, and my life's just gone downhill since 2005. So.
You peaked there.
Yeah, I peaked there. That was my peak. So that's my number 2. Let's do number 1. Langan.
My number 1, probably, it's my finest stage potato moment in my illustrious history. When my friend Jeff was in this moment, and they were touring with Rob Zombie and Ozzy, I got to go on tour with them for a while. And
that's
awesome.
awesome.
And they played the Garden, and it was just it was like an almost famous moment for me.
Yeah.
This when Jeff's mom went to the beauty salon, right? Wasn't she telling this story? She had her hair done or something.
Zach Wild was like flirting with her.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
all these years later, it's like, but just to be backstage at the Garden after being there as a kid with my friend, Ozzy's being rushed down the hallway, all these different. It was like a dream come true for me. I like stepped out of myself for a minute. You know what I mean?
It was
to stand on the side, and it just was something I
surreal.
never thought I'd see in my lifetime, and it was just like a moment for me of like. And I've been riding people's coattails ever since. Shout out to In This Moment for treating me as their own, putting me on their rider and feeding me.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Okay, yeah. So since I got to go, I'm going to cut in. This is where I'm going to insert my little story, if that's cool. All right?
Insert here.
What's
This is the Cheap Trick story. This is my last one.
Since you're gonna beat us to mayhem, you give us your number 1.
Okay, so this comes with a story that we talked about, so indulge me for a second.
Check yours.
Hola.
Check. Okay.
Check, okay. So this would be Cheap Trick at Mulcahy's, Mulcahy's, awful venue, but Mulcahy's in Wantor in the late 90s.
Shout out to them.
Okay.
Preach.
So the only band I have ever been a card-carrying member of is Cheap Trick. I'm
Oh,
literally a
shit.
card-carrying member that I'm showing to everyone as proof. Trick International Fan Club.
Wow.
And I got...
Does it have a cool name like the Army?
They don't.
Army?
It's just
No,
Trick
no.
International.
You just
and
get a card.
It's totally inactive at this
Coast
point.
Guard?
It's totally inactive at this point because Bunny Carlos, the drummer, is the one who did everything, all the engagement, and he's not in the band anymore. So
Yes.
I still get Christmas cards every year, though. So I got an email saying that Cheap Trick were playing Mulcahy's. It was like a Tuesday night or something. So I was like, oh my God, like, yeah, let's go, And I got a bunch of my friends. Everyone was interested. But the weird thing was that other than this one email I got from the fan club, there was no mention of this show on the Mulcahy's website, their Island Year or Good Times ads, nothing about this show at all. Figured Cheap Trick's playing Mulcahy's, like that would be advertised, right?
Sure.
So about a week before the show, I call up the box office and I say, I got this email like a month ago that Cheap Trick's playing. Are they playing? And she's like, yeah, we have them down. They're playing. I'm like, well, it's not advertised anywhere. What's going on? And she's like, oh, you know what? It's a private party. It's a Marlboro cigarettes promotion, and you need like 80 Marlboro Miles cigarettes to get it, or something like that. And I said, well, I don't smoke. I'm willing.
Let
me
go buy a card.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a bunch of my friends and I want to come to the show. We're willing to pay.
We're willing to start
What do we
smoking.
need to do? Yeah,
You need to have 8,000 miles.
I think I actually pulled the punk rock thing and said, you're discriminating me as a non-smoker. So she's like, you know what? You're right. She's like, I can't. We're not selling tickets. I can't sell you tickets, but let me call you back and see what I could do. She called me back about 2 hours later and said, I can't sell you any tickets, but give me a list of you and all your friends who want to come, and you'll be on the house guest list. Awesome.
Nice.
So I did that. So the night of the show, we park. Cheap Trick, the parking lot by the Wantor train station, dead. There's nobody around. So I'm
You
still
could
thinking,
actually park there?
I'm still thinking
I've never parked
this
there. You
show isn't
can't.
happening. There's a confusion. Something isn't. There's some other band called Cheap Trick playing, and they don't realize or something. And we walk up, and nobody's there. And sure enough, we are all on the guest list. Wow. We walk into Mulcahy's, which holds like 1,000 people.
Sure.
In the far corner, there was nobody in there. We were the only 10 people in there. Some guy comes running up to us in panic with Marlboro gift bags, saying, "You've got to take these. You got to take this. And you got to eat that food." And there's buffets full of food that's just sitting there, nobody to eat.
They fucked that shit up.
Oh yeah,
Holy
they got yeah. So we go and we just start eating their food. We started taking all their free gift packs.
This is my favorite show.
There was maybe like there's maybe like
Amazing.
5 other people like in the place, in this huge place. It's like 20 people, and 15 of them are like me and my friends. And eventually, unbelievably, Cheap Trick take the stage, and Rick Nielsen just looks out at the 20 people there, and he's like, "Well, we bothered to show up, and you bothered to show up, so let's just do this." And they played a full hour-and-a-half set. And the big thing about the Rick Nielsen is he's constantly throwing guitar picks into the audience all night long. He threw just as many picks as he normally would. We all walked out of there with sackfuls of Rick Nielsen guitar picks. And it was like having just a private show. And they came out, they hung out
What was
with
the
everybody
food?
after. It was just like buffet, like, ZD and stuff like that, like hot food. And he's like, "What was the food?" But we just walked out of there.
Did you have to flash your card?
Yeah, I don't know. But 6 months later, they played an actual show, and the place was. I went again, and the place was packed solid. So it wasn't anything about them, but that was absolutely the most memorable show of my life.
Once in a
It was
lifetime.
amazing,
Holy shit.
Well,
Jeffy.
let Jeff do his thing. So thank you for doing this. We're going to
Yes.
finish up with Mark.
Yeah, this
And
was
we'll-
amazing. Thank you so much, Sam.
We'll see
What
you
would
later,
guys do?
Hell Satan.
Hell Satan. Are you ready for some church burning rock and roll?
I can't name one Mayhem song, but yet I'll be there.
It's freezing moon.
Oh,
Nice.
I have to.
Good.
take
Funeral
this mic,
moon?
too.
Yeah, yeah.
Funeral
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't want to like blow a speaker or something.
No, go ahead.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, man.
This was a lot of fun.
Thank you.
All right,
man.
good.
Fun, Sam.
Later, man. I'll see you soon.
I'll see you
I'll
soon.
see you later,
It was
brother.
Awesome. Yep.
I'll see you Tuesday at
I'll
practice.
see you Tuesday. I'll see you very soon.
So, Mark, give us your number one.
Okay, my number one is actually on Long Island, not from 1982. It was at Deja-one.
Flag.
No, not Black Flag.
Just
even
flag.
though a Black Flag song was played. All right, but I'll explain the show. Well, it was at Deja-one. It was called the Live Record Show, and we got through 13 bands in 5 hours.
Nice.
And it was recorded live. Every band played 3 songs. You played one original, one like whatever the fuck you want cover, and then one like punk rock or hardcore classic cover. And the bands on this bill were Indecision and Silent Majority and Millhouse and Cleanser and Kill Your Idols and Arkham and The Last Crime and Pacifier and Reach, Inhuman, Home 33, Southpaw, Two Man played that, and Fall with Grace.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
the sound man, his name was Craig. He ran Brass Giraffe Records at the time, and the label it was supposed to be put on was called Clean Records. And they spent a lot of money on the recording. The recording sounded amazing. And the fact that we got through 13 bands in 5 hours. Now, granted, each band's only playing 3 songs, but you still got to change out guitars. Some guys wanted to use their heads only, and it got a little tough. But we actually pulled this off, and every band sounded great. And it was packed. I could only sell 300 tickets because there was 200 fucking band members, and Deja only held 500 people. So I sold 300 tickets the old-fashioned way at Utopia. Like you had to go to Utopia in Hicksville or in Center Reach to get the tickets, and they sold out in like 3 days. And just knowing that, I'm friends with everybody in one of those bands. I know somebody in every one of those bands, and just to be able to do that, and unfortunately that record never came out. Just to capture that moment in time, and it sucks it never came out, but just the fact that we pulled it off, to me was just an amazing time, and very, it's just at that time our hardcore community was so tight, and I'm not saying it isn't now, but now it's just like there's too many, I don't know, too many chefs in the kitchen, I guess.
Yes, yeah.
It's just, and
I have nothing to compare it to, so I'm just letting you do your thing because
Yeah.
you've seen. through the
yeah,
years.
I've seen scenes come and go. I've seen them grow. I've seen them die. But I mean, there's a lot of talented musicians here on Long Island. Very talented people. I'm surrounded by talent. Every show I play, I watch every band that plays that show. Whether I booked it or whether I'm playing it, it doesn't matter. I take the time to watch every band that plays. I wish everybody would do that, because how are you going to expose yourself or know something new if you're not there to listen? I'm not at a show to socialize. I socialize in between bands. Absolutely. I'm a fucking social butterfly. But when a band's playing, I want to watch.
I'm in. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And some people just would rather hang out in the back and smoke. And okay, well, if that's what you have that right to do that. You paid to get in. it's your choice. Do what you want to do. But I'm there for the music, and I'd like to see a little bit more of that.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's do the last. Actually, second. Well, I'm up, but you're gonna do your thing. The last Deja-one for you, Parker.
This was the fucking end-all be-all. This was also known as, well, this was, I think, Rich Hall's first of the many last shows that he did.
Yeah, he's still doing the last shows.
Yeah.
He just put out This Is Hardcore lineup this weekend.
Which has a sick lineup.
Yeah,
what a surprise.
It's insane.
Great year.
Yeah.
Great lineup every year. So this going back to, a band plays here from Pennsylvania. When you need a show from Pennsylvania, you go to that guy. So we had actually done a weekend with this band called Harvest. And they were on Trustkill, which was a pretty big label back then.
Yeah.
And we did.
I remember them.
It was a small weekend. It was a North Carolina, South Carolina weekend, and we had a blast with this band. So this package gets put together. It's Harvest, Caven, Dillinger Escape Plan, which is like fucking insane right there.
Yeah.
And Harvest actually, I think they might have reached out to Rich Hall saying like, hey, like, we got pretty friendly with this band from Long Island. Like, maybe you should let them open. So we actually opened this band, this show, and it was insane. Same thing, probably fucking 600 people.
Yeah.
And I remember watching Caven and actually getting into the pit, which I later, regretted. And I actually got fucking kicked in the forehead. My head split open, and I remember going to work the next day. I was rocking it at Stearns at Sunrise Mall, and I had this big fucking Band-Aid on my head, and it was the same thing. My manager was just like, what fucking truck ran you over?
Yeah.
Did your fanny pack survive?
Yes, that was pre-fanny pack.
Oh,
Let's
okay.
get it right. Fanny pack.
We didn't wear them then.
Yeah,
Okay.
Fanny pack did not come out till June 2001. Thank you very much. And the guy's just like, well, how was that fun? Like, why would you do that?
They don't get it.
Yeah, I'm like, you just don't fucking understand,
Right.
man.
You don't get it.
I
I remember the first time Dillinger came out to Long Island.
with the original singer.
Yes, Dimitri.
Yep.
And
Yep.
they only had the EP and Artie. Artie was going to be away. I don't know if he was away with Millhouse but he couldn't do the show, so he asked me if I could put Dillinger on a show.
Yep.
And I was like, yeah, absolutely. So, I listened to the EP first, and like 30 seconds in, click, hello, you want to play? It was done.
Yeah.
It was that quick, and they just blew me away. And I think we brought him back like maybe 6 months later, and that was just it snowballed fast.
Yeah.
That's another band that called it quits this year.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
I hope that Two Man. I haven't talked to them as a band about what they intend on doing after I'm gone, because it is 3 months away before I walk away. I wish them well. They're the greatest guys in the world, and I don't know what they're going to do, but I don't think they know what they're going to do. You know what I mean? So I'm just taking myself completely out of that equation and letting them figure out if that's something.
regardless, like 21 years. Like,
21 years, five records.
Even if that is the case, like
I think we're pushing almost 600 shows.
Yeah, who could say that? Like, not many bands that I could think of.
Yeah. It's
Maybe sick of it all.
Yeah.
I was talking about Long Island.
Yeah.
But
Right now, Long Island wise, I don't think anybody can
yeah.
as far as the longevity of the band and 4 out of 5 original members. And,
Yeah.
it's been a lot of fun, and I've enjoyed every minute of it. I've never regret going to practice. I never regret going to a show, not when it comes to this band.
Awesome. Langan, number one.
I did my number one.
Oh,
Yeah, world number ones is up to you, kid.
really?
Yeah, you're up.
Yeah,
You're
our
number
stage
one.
Potato in it, man.
Oh, shit.
Nah.
That's right. In this moment.
Shout out.
Man, all right. Mayhem. Here we come.
Great food on that tour.
I think the Cheap Trick show was better with the food, maybe.
All right, so
Totally.
for me, it's like a mixture. So I'm going to do a Misfits medley here. Okay, so I figured in my life, the Misfits are my favorite band because I just feel like their catalog plays like a best of discography. I don't know what happened between 1977 and 1983 that they wrote these songs that are the catchiest songs on the planet. They have horrific lyrics, which I love. but the melodies are just great songs. So, obviously they weren't around. They weren't around, when I was just going to shows. So when Joey Ramone died, I guess if I'm trying to remember who it was Dez from Black Flag, it was Marky Ramone from the Ramones, and Doyle. So Doyle. What am I saying? Jerry Only. So they put together this package where they're like, hey, we're going to do Ramone songs, we're going to do Misfit songs, and we're going to do Black Flag songs, and you're going to come out to the Roseland, and it's going to be awesome. And our friends were like, you know what? This is as close as it's going to get.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just do it. Let's just go. Let's just, the fact that there is 3 members from these 3 bands and they're playing these it's 3 legends.
Classic bands.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
A million great songs.
Yeah.
So, now their set, I don't remember exactly what it was. That's how unmemorable it was. But the opening band,
This is your number one.
The opening
memorable show.
Was a medley.
I got you.
But the opening band I mentioned on an episode before. It was the Impotent Sea Snakes. I've never seen anything like this. It was just they're called the Impotent Sea Snakes. So they had like the KISS logo minus the K. It was at the Roseland, and there was naked people. There was insertion of dildos into women. There was titties. There was like simulated sex if it wasn't real.
Is this episode going to be on before Easter?
Dude, I remember that band, man.
Do you?
I remember because I used to get hit up for a lot of people for shows, and if I remember correctly, they sent me a press kit, and I looked at them like, man, I can't do that.
It was wild.
I can't do that. No, I know. I was like, what the fuck?
No one moved in the crowd of the sold out Roseland. No one moved. Everyone was like, is that gun dildo going in that girl's pussy? And I'll never forget that she fucking did a split. No, she did a handstand and then did a split, and some guy fucked her with a gun dildo while she did that. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's what I remember about that show. So the flip side,
Mayhem, eat your heart out.
I don't know. I'm going to be disappointed in
So
that.
the flip side, yeah, I know. I mean, like, how could the Misfits and like how could the Jerry Only band live up to that?
Right.
But the flip side to that was the first time that Danzig did Blackest of the Black. And they played Spirit, New York City. And I remember Rich Hall was the door guy because me and my friend Bob went. And it was the first time that Glenn and Doyle were going to do Misfit songs. The only reason we went was to see. They probably ended up playing maybe 4 songs, which came out to like 10 minutes. Didn't matter. Because the lineup was terrible. It was the Blackest of the Black tour, Spirit, New York City. And
I went to that show.
Did you?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
it was like just.
They only did it in Boston and New York, I think, the Doyle thing.
Maybe. And it was like, honestly, like maybe 4 songs.
And it was great.
It was great because here we were the biggest Misfit fans. I tell everyone I had a Jailhouse Misfit tattoo. Like, I actually went to Riverhead and I told some guy that he needed 2 for $25 commissary, put a tattoo on me. And he did. Once again, shout out to Mike.
Kool-Aid and he tatted me for life.
Yeah.
Once again, shout out to Mike doing life.
That guy probably had the Marlboro Miles.
Yeah.
They're giving them to Jeff, hook a brother up.
I'll never forget that guy. Yeah, he had tattoo of he had 3 daughters because he had 3 hearts on his stomach, and it was 3 of the daughters. But,
Irrelevant to the story.
What?
Irrelevant to the story.
But yeah, that was it, man. Watching. And it's funny because, we're going to go see the Reunited Misfits in New Jersey now, but I thought that was going to be as good as it got. My favorite band. So you have Glenn and Doyle on one side, and then the other side was just Jerry Only with like 2 fucking other people. Just, and that was it. Those were just memorable. They weren't the best, but it was just like the shit that like got my dick hard before I went to a show. I'm like, I can't believe this is actually happening. But now we're going to go see the Misfits for real. So
Yeah.
Yes.
And we're paying a lot of money to
Sponsored by Budweiser.
You know what? Fuck it. Cash in now. All right,
hear
let's
you.
go see Mayhem.
Yes.
Mark, thank you for doing
Yes.
this.
Guys, thank you very
Mark.
much.
Really
I
appreciate
appreciate
it.
This
it.
has
You're
been
a
a lot
stand-up
of
guy.
fun.
Appreciate it, man.
Have fun in Arizona. I'll see you when I visit Karen's
Yeah,
family.
yeah.
And that's it, man. Episode 30 in the books.
Boom.
Thank you.